Good evening, everyone. I hope my voice is loud and clear. Thank you. Thanks for the confirmation. Yes, let's then get started. Last week we completed till the last slide. Actually, yeah, let's kind of quickly have a look at it. Yeah, we discussed this one as the last slide. We'll be starting with the performance assessment. So while the work is going on, we have to constantly monitor and control the project because and it's quite obvious that what we may plan will not work as per the plan always 100%. So there will be some bit of plus minus which will continue to happen. Variations will be seen, and yes, we have to be watchful and we have to constantly adjust the process as per the plan so that the we don't get into the trouble of having a change request done. So we want to use the change request as an option as the last resort. So it's not a favorable situation because more change requests, that means you were not good enough as a project manager in terms of anticipating, in terms of estimating and all that. And yes, in terms of controlling the variation. So it's not a bad sign. It's not a good sign rather. So we'll like to kind of make sure that we can keep a close eye and correct the process before it gets too far. So that's what we'll be covering in this section of evaluate project progress. So let's kind of get going with this. So more of a checklist. What do you monitor? What do you cover up while you go through this monitoring the process? So while the work is going on, you will be required to constantly keep checking your scope because remember, this is the scope is the work and only the work which needs to be done in the project. That's the definition of scope. All the work which needs to be done. That's all. And nothing else will be done unless there is a change request. So unless there is a change request, then obviously there will be new work added or the scope will be modified. So unless there is a change request, we'll continue to work on the scope which is available with us. It's a baseline. So we'll kind of constantly look at what percentage of scope has been completed, what is pending. So we'll try to go and make sure in the end, our objective is that 100% of scope should be completed. Everything that is as a pass for the scope customer gave you as requirements, you made a project scope. So you had a customer requirements captured, when that was captured in a document called Requirement Traceability Matrix, RTM, and based on which you prepared a project scope statement, based on which you further develop the WBS, work breakdown structure. See all the work which is there, which needs to be completed, and that's why you would have done a scheduling, you would have assigned the activities. So all in all, as the work goes on, I will constantly keep on checking. Well, practically the work, how much is pending, how much is completed. In the end, everything should be completed 100%. So that's what I'll be constantly monitoring. Well, throughout the project, I will be constantly monitoring the schedule because I have a plan, and that's a schedule. Like you already got a baseline. The schedule baseline is there, so you are doing the job, and now you all have to check is whether it's as per the plan or not. Well, are we ahead of target? Are we behind the target? Or are we on target? So please keep this in mind. Variance will always be calculated as actual minus the plan. Actual minus plan will always be the way you will calculate the variance. So whatever, if we are ahead of time, great job when doing good job. And there will be metric we'll be calculating in a moment, like we call SPI, Schedule Performance Index. So rule remains the same. If SPI is greater than 1, we are doing great. We're ahead of the target. If it's equal to 1, that we're on target as planned. If it's less than 1, then you have a big problem. Well, then you are most likely going to be creating a change request, or you'll have to do a fast tracking or crashing because you're behind the schedule. You are not on target. So they will do this calculation in a moment. So all in all, we have to constantly watch out for this SPI as index and keep looking at it. I need to speed up the process or not? Well, we have to constantly look at it. Same goes for budget because you have a budget baseline also. Again, variance will be actual minus plan. And you would constantly keep checking out whether, well, again, there is a metric called CPI. Same rule for CPI also. Greater than 1, great job. You have so whatever budget you have finished, the work which has been done is more than that. Great job. Well, technically you're utilizing less money and you're doing more work. That's what is advisable. Equal to 1, that means the way you plan, you're spending accordingly. But if it's less than 1, that means you're spending more and getting less work done, which is bad sign. again, a warning sign for change request. So you'll constantly monitor. Rule are same. Good. The better part is that rule are same for both of them. So just keep watching out. You should not be less than one. Even equal to one is not good. Always want to be higher than one. Now, if in case we are running behind the funds, then you got to neatly look for change request, justify, give the clarification why, what happened, why you sort of end up, why you have like burnt more money than it was supposed to be done, and yes, you have to go and check out for the get the approvals done during the project. While the work is going on, you have to constantly monitor resources. Resource will be the like human resources, the non-human resources, everything. So while you have to monitor, well, when I get the job done, like say I get the resource, human, like I'm talking about right now, the human resources. So if a vendor has been like onboarded through a procurement process, this vendor has been assigned to you that this vendor will be responsible for completing so and so deliverable. Now, you need to make sure that this vendor is given the required material and all so that the vendor can do the job. When this vendor is doing the job, this vendor has to be given a constant, like you have to monitor what this guy is doing. You have to give a constant feedback about this job. And if this guy is facing some problem, solve the problem. Bottom line, now this guy is a part of your team. I have to constantly monitor this person's job and just give this person required help, what needs to be done. And once this guy completes the job, then the quality control team has to check whether it's acceptable or not. Well, that will be, if it's acceptable, becomes verified deliverable. If it's not acceptable, then it's a change request. If they approve, then it goes to the customer and the validate scope process, validating scope, where the customer will see whether it's good or bad. If the customer says good, then it becomes accepted deliverable. If the customer rejects it, becomes change request. So bottom line, I will wait for this both the customer to finally verify and make it accepted deliverable so that this guy's job is over. I will not hold on to resources. If the job is done, I must release them because there's cost for everything. So I only procure resources when I need them. I will release when I don't need them. Bottom line, the job must be done. And yes, during the entire thing, well, I'll have to constantly look at the allocation, which resource, if for that matter, non-human resources also. I may have got a truck, I may have got a crane, a forklift, or some machine. I must return basically if I don't need it. And yes, as the job is done, you have to let the procurement team know this person's job is over. And yes, you may pay, and bottom line, not my job. So you can pay this guy because all the job is done. Customer has accepted it. So this guy's job is over. You can pay him and her, whatever. And yes, while the work is going on, you continue to do performance appraisal. So that's the part we do. And apart from that, while the work is going on, you do the quality part. As we discussed, quality work always constantly goes on. So you will keep giving them the required inputs about the quality performance, how the work is done, what is the standards and all that, the needs of the customer, needs of the business, internal, external, regulatory compliance. You keep giving them inputs, required inputs. And yes, if they have made an error, then you have to go and give them feedback and just do the recommended actions. And yes, that will result in a change request. So this job is going to be done, and which is by the quality. This is going to happen throughout. Having said that, you may have prepared an amazing risk register, a risk register which has all positive, negative risks, which is uncertain. It may happen because if it happens, it becomes issue. Then we call it as issue log, not a risk register. So issue log is only for the negative risk, which has actually happened. But risk register is all about possibilities, all positive or negative risks, which may happen. Now, you may have prepared a great deal of like a risk register, amazing job. You would have done a risk management plan for that. What if this happened? We'll do this and we'll do that. But while throughout the project is going on, you will come across new risks. You can't sit down at once and then plan for every risk. Risk will come with time. Risk will come from nowhere. So you have to constantly evaluate your risk and whatever is going on, because when the work is going on, new risk will be identified. So yes, you constantly work on the risk part. So constantly monitor, because you can't just sit. The moment you say, well, it's over, practically till the time the project is over, risk is not over. So yes, you have to constantly monitor these things. It's more about the list of the things you might want to constantly monitor and control throughout the project. This is what we'll be. And we'll be seeing some basically on this topic. There's about some graphs and charts we will be looking into, some calculations, very, very basic calculations we'll be getting into. So how you measure it, what kind of reports are presented, we'll be checking them out. That's all it's all about. So let's quickly check them reports and all. I guess that's what we'll be getting into. Again, still a checklist. What are these? Are performance reports. So what kind of reports? And yes, tailor if required. So every company will have their own way of kind of looking at reports and planning these things. But again, this is some list of things which you can plan definitely, and you can decide your project, your company, you decide. So sort of a milestone report, it's all about schedule. So are we on schedule or not on schedule? Some report can be prepared for that. Quality related reports would be there. This is the calculation part I was talking about, SPI, CPI thing, which is earned value management. So we'll do the calculation. So some report related to this SPI, CPI can be there. Variance analysis, which we will be seeing right now in a moment. So again, that's going to come from, if you remember the variance part of it, when the work is done, you get work performance data, which is meaningless information, but that goes to controlling process. And then you do actual minus plan, and then you get to know work performance information. And then work performance information goes to the controlling process, and it becomes work performance report, WPR, work performance report. Plus, then the recommended change request will be done, and that will go to the change control board and the process group, the process name is perform uh, integrated change control, where the change control board will look at the work performance report and the change request to see whether it should be approved or not. So again, this is all about reports. And yes, you may have a dashboard which has a integrated view of all possible reports. You may click here, you may click here. So it depends on your own needs of the project. You may have a schedule showing here, a cost showing here, and all those details. Well, your deal, like how you want to do it. Work performance data. Okay, give me one quick second. Danish, we talked about, like, since if you recall the structure we talked about in execution process. In execution process, when we do the work, every day the job that we perform, it creates work performance data. The output is work performance data. Output is of no meaning. Well, if I say, like, if you recall that we had a discussion about that, like, say we have to do excavation work like 10 cubic meters per day, and you have done 8 cubic meters, it's meaningless information. But again, when you compare with what was the target, I see, okay, well, my target was 10, I've done 8. So okay, let's just to quickly summarize that. So when I do the job every day based as per my execution process, say I hypothetically delivered some output as 8 cubic meters worth of work I did. This is called work performance data. This is just an output, neither good or not bad. I don't know. When I compare, when this information goes to the controlling process, when I compare with the target, I see, okay, well, what was my target? I say, okay, my target was 10. So I have done actual 8. My target was 10. So I have a negative 2 cubic meters of variance. Now, this is what we call as work performance information. Now, that's a meaningful insight. Well, I know I'm behind. Now, this will go to the controlling process, where we will be preparing the reports, which is called work performance report, where we will showcase that this has happened, what happened, why we have a negative variance, and then we'll recommend the change request. Do you recall that conversation? So output that we create is work performance data. It's meaningless unless you see what's the target. Again, these are all reports only, like a list of reports. You can decide on that. So all in all, what you do in case of predictive, you have a baseline, and that's what you got to keep in mind. So you have a baseline, approved version of baseline, the project scope statement. You have a baseline. It has WBS, all the work which is deliverables, and a related WBS dictionary, which tells you the details, because WBS will have 1.1, 1.2. I don't know what's that. So the dictionary will give you what is 1.1, what is 1.2. That's it. So basically, that's what your scope baseline is. And what's your job? Measure the work completion, because you have to complete 100% of it. Whatever is in your scope baseline, finish it. Everything that was given has to be completed. In Agile, well, don't worry about it. You have a backlog. That's all. You started with 100 user stories. While you keep doing sprint after sprint, the team will keep pulling the work, In the end, I need this 100 user stories to be finished. You keep pulling the work. In the end, I have to finish this job. So you have initially you have a product roadmap, you create a release roadmap, and then you have a backlog. The backlogs will, the product owner will reprioritize the backlog, the team will pull the item. So we keep pulling the item, and the number of user stories keep decreasing. In the end, all the user stories should have been finished and accepted. So as and when we keep doing the job, every user story, as per the definition of done, which is going to be given by the product owner, will do the job. The sprint drill, how it works. So you do the job in the sprint, get the demo done, which is the review period. Then you have a team retrospective. Again, the team will ask the product owner to reprioritize the backlog. Again, the team will pull the item, do the second sprint. But before you then start the second sprint, they'll ask, okay, what is the definition of done? So my team will keep that definition of done in mind. They will do the job. Again, same cycle will go on. So here I have to finish this backlog. Here I have to finish this, the entire scope which we have created. All in all, everything that you have agreed and committed, you must deliver the job. Like everything which is pending, that means your work is still not done. All in all, but you have to complete it. So you don't have a scope. In case of Agile, we can't use the word scope. We have to use the word backlog. We cannot use the word scope in Agile because you don't have scope. Scope is all about planning, but you have done enough planning here. You don't. Here you have backlogs. The term is backlog. We have to stick to the word backlog. But honestly, it is actually a scope. We can't use that because Agile, we have to go with the terminology which is in the Agile and not as per predictive. So going to the next one here. Now the question for you. Have a look at it, and please, the options are right here. So, well, you have to select the correct answer. Like, what is it? In a predictive development approach, which artifact helps determine the acceptance criteria? A, B, C, D. Acceptance criteria. Acceptance criteria. Which artifact will have acceptance criteria? Yeah, that's correct. That should be. So acceptance criteria will go at the scope level because the customer gives you requirement. That is not when you break it down, and every requirement you'll have a definite acceptance criteria decided. So scope statement, you're right about that. Second one, let's see, what is it? In adaptive world, what helps determine acceptance criteria for user stories has been met or not? Yeah, you're correct about that. Again, definition of done, because that's what you have there. Let's kind of check this out. Well, what is it has to say? Clear the things. Let's kind of answer this. Okay. Scope statement, perfect. Definition of done is also correct. Perfect. Yeah, makes sense. So we will be, again, still now we're talking about the reports which will come in. We will be looking into some sort of charts. Well, you may have a Gantt chart which can be presented. It is based on what kind of tool you're using, Microsoft Project, Jira, Primavera, whatever. You may have some sort of charts prepared there, which will Gantt chart will tell you how you're doing, and basically that can be done. And these are related to the quality, like the calculation part, the earned value we talked about. We'll be doing a calculation right now, SPI, CPI thing. Quality metrics related reports, again, it's going to talk about the same thing. Variance analysis based reports will be there. So we will be seeing all those elements there as we move forward. It's more of a preface or an index for the things we'll be looking into right now. Let's see. Starts here. So list of all those things we will be required to do. So again, still an index for us, but again, let's see what all we'll be seeing next. So you can have these reports through like a physical or electronic way. Do whatever you want, doesn't matter. It can be any kind of method. You will be looking into now burn up chart, burn down chart. We need to understand when to use burn up, when to use burn down chart. What is how we understand a burn up or burn down chart. We know what is information related. Large TV screens, you can use this for a TV screen, a Kanban board, a notice board, probably in a electronic medium, you may have a dashboard. Well, that can be used for as an information related, a large TV screen to relay the information to people in a large scale. Now, we'll see cumulative flow diagram. That's coming from Lean, actually. When you talk about Lean Six Sigma, the Lean part of it is like related with this, not the Six Sigma one, but Lean part of it. It's actually picking up from Lean. All agile approaches use Kanban boards, and Kanban boards are actually from Lean. So this concept is the cumulative flow it's talking about. It's all related to Lean concept because it uses Kanban, and Kanban is actually Lean stuff. Yes, look at this. Continuous flow method approaches throughput. This is Lean concept, Lean concept, Lean concept. We'll see that. We know what is velocity primarily. Velocity is all about average user stories that you're processing. On an average, how many user stories you're processing per sprint. So we'll see a sample, like all of these charts will show up. So we'll just need to understand what are the different kind of charts and what do they mean, like how to read and interpret them. Starting with the first one, I guess. Yeah. Very important one, burn down chart. And I would like, so this is probably my favorite one. Well, I would say why? Because it helps you to understand what is going within a sprint. So please keep this in mind. When do we use it? Burn down chart, I will use for within a sprint. In Agile, I'll use it within the sprint. One sprint is going on, I will use this burn down chart within sprint. In case of Agile, oh goodness, sprint in case of Agile. And I can use this burn down chart for otherwise also for cost. I want to showcase how I'm burning the money and how the money is depleting. I can use burn down chart. Let's see how. So let's stay in the context of within the sprint agile part of it. And then we'll understand how can I use this for cost also, which is logically we'll understand why part. It's burn down chart. So something is going down. So technically, I would like to understand how within a particular sprint, one sprint. Say we had sprint starting here and sprint ending here, one sprint. So while for that sprint, say hypothetically, look at this. This one represents a plant. This is a plant. This is actual. We had this sprint started with like say 190 user stories, roughly looks like that. We had a plan of 190 user stories to be finished in the sprint. On the day one when we started, we had total of 190 user stories to be completed in one particular sprint. Now, looking at this chart, do you think I'm doing good or bad? That's the first question. You know what's planned, what's actual? So are we doing good? Are we doing bad? That's the kind of question you will get. This is the kind of question you will get in the examination. You may be given a chart and they'll ask you, are we doing good or are we doing bad? You are doing good and you're doing a very good job, ideally. Let's see why. Let's try to relate with it. We're doing good job. The top layer is the line is the planned one. This is the actual. Let's talk about the planned first. We started that 190 total, and we have to finish this 190 by the end of the sprint in like whatever this we are within one sprint. We have to finish all to 190 user stories. So our plan was at the end of day 2, we would have finished about 10 user stories. This is where we should have been 180. That's 180 user stories. By the end of day 3, roughly like 170 user stories. This is by the like this. Let's call it like say 160, 155, whatever something like. Let's call it 160 only. Let's call it 160. Let's call it say 140, 150, something like that. 150. This is how we are looking at this was a trend, expected trend. Look at this. Day 1, we started with 90. Day 2, we should have been at 180. Do you think my team did a good, like faster job and we were at 170 instead of 180? We had only 170 pending. We were supposed to be at 180 as per the plan. We have 170 left. We were supposed to be at like if you look at this plan, we started with 190. The plan said that at the end of day 2, like when we start day 2, we should have 180 user stories in our backlog. How many did we have? 170. Do you think my team did a good, like faster work? We only have 170 pending. Now, day 3, we were supposed to be at 170. My team was doing, let's say, whatever, this 160. So my team is faster. This was about, say, 160. We were doing it somewhere here. Look at this. The team is kind of doing ahead of time. Like, let's pick up for this day. Say, this is 120. We were supposed to be at 120. User stories should have been in the backlog. My team has roughly, like, say, whatever this call is, 985 or whatever, 85 user stories pending. So my team is doing work faster than what was planned. As of that day, my number of user stories pending in the backlog should have been 120, but we are doing at 180. We have 85 only pending. So team is doing faster. So the gap that we have created has helped us. Look at this. At one point, we stopped moving. Probably we found a impediment. There was some problem. The work did not move. Work did not move. And since you were able to create a gap here, you were faster. You were still safe. You did not move user stories. Nothing. Look at this here. Till here, it was almost a flat line. You were still able to survive. Why? Because you had created this gap. Because you've done the faster work, you were able to survive here. And now, well, probably there was some problem which was rectified, and instantly you finished the job one day early. But again, you were able to survive for 3-4 days constantly. There was no improvement, no user story completed. And that's why we had a flat line. So thanks to this extremely good work we did in the beginning, so we were able to save time, and that saved time was able to help us. Otherwise, we would have crossed. Well, think about the situation. This would have continued. Assume this would have continued, and we were not. Do you think this would have been a problem now? This would have been a problem. If this continued, this would have continued like this. No changes, no changes. That means I was supposed to have this much, but I have this much, which is more work pending than planned. That would have been a problem. So if this would have continued, I would have been having a problem. Where is cost saving through work is done against? Okay, Tushar, it's not about cost saving. When we talk about when we're doing the work, as the work is done, we're tracking the work. Cost ways stuff is different. Like so, I can plot this for cost. I can use burn down chart for cost. This is only for iteration. It's only for the iteration, the user stories. We're trying to track the user stories. How like and that helps you to understand, are we on track or are we not on track? Cost wise, it will be a different chart. So this is how you're doing it. Now, can I make a similar chart for cost? Say I started with my plan, like if I'm doing it in a predictive one. If I'm doing in a predictable, can I use a burn down chart? Yes, why not? I started with a budget of say this 190K. The plan was this is slowly, steadily will keep on doing, and this is my spending. So if I'm spending less, well, am I doing good? Yes. So whenever this actual is below the line, it's good. Whenever the actual is above line, it'll be bad. So all in all, you got to keep in mind whether my actual is below this target line or like anywhere where cost is lesser the better. So if my actual is lesser the better, then pretty much this is good. But if my cost exceeds this, it will be bad. That means we spend more money than what it should have. So all in all, if you line this line, say hypothetically I'm making this line and it crosses this, if this assume forget about this, it would have continued here, here, and I would have not moved. And this is the cost pretty much. I would have taken more money in that case. I have taken more money. So the money that I should have actually spent is this much. I have spent more money. What tells me? So anything which is exceeding the line will be bad. Anything below the line will be good. So all in all, the same thing. Ideally, this is from agile perspective. It's used for knowing that, like tracking the user stories completed, and it's used within a sprint. But I can use this for cost also. I can use this for looking at the cost spending also. And it is very good representation, like how much is spending, how much money is spending, how much have we spent. So it will help us understand the variance part. Is it okay and clear, the burn down chart? Quick one with this. Okay, let's check out the burn up chart. Burn up chart is used for sprint by sprint. It's not within sprint. We're talking about really like one sprint, second sprint, third sprint, fourth sprint. So that's okay, back on note. Okay. So here it is when you say burn up chart, it is as we adding up. So here the previous one was about depleting it. Now this is adding up. It's going up. So when we use it, burn up chart is used ideally to track the releases, how you go up to release part. So let's try to understand here. So when we started initially, in our product backlog, we had say 100 user stories. That was initially agreed. The backlog had 100 user stories in it. So that was so in the first sprint, like so it's not within the sprint by sprint. So what it tells me by the end, when we completed first sprint, we just completed about 10 user stories at the end of first sprint. In the second sprint, we moved another 10 user stories. So 2 sprints completed, 20 user stories completed only. Then in the third sprint, we have actually taken a jump here. So that's when we took a jump, and this is like roughly like let's call it 40. So we did about 20 user stories here. Like we were moving 10. Now we moved about 20 user stories in this particular sprint. But again, here also like we moved about 10. And like so technically we're just moving more like you generally see, it's moving 10. But at this stage, look at this stage. This stage, what it looks like, we were at what number user story? Like say, let's call it 50. We were at 50 user stories completed. And in our backlog, we had a total of 100. So that technically we started with 100. So that means 50 we have completed, 50 was pending at this stage. So at this stage, 50 user stories we have completed, and remaining 50 were pending because total user stories were 100 initially when we started. So at this stage, what it looks like, after this demo, the client might have added 20 more. Look at this from 100 to 120. So client might have added 20 more user stories. So the count, like now, we've got 20 more added in here. So this looks like there is an increase of 20 more user stories which were added. Now we have to catch up with the 70 now. So we tried. So this is where we are able to see sprint by sprint how we're moving and tracking, like going and touching that total number. So yes, it's adding up. And we say burn up chart is adding up. It's not within the sprint. When you want to see what happens within the sprint, Within the sprint, you do burn down. But when you are looking at release-wise, how you get to that point and you finish up the total work, you will be doing the burn-up chart. And this can help you to even add up the work. So this can be shown that when after which iteration the product owner probably might have added user stories. So all of a sudden, the backlog count, which was initially 100, and that was increased to 120. So now we are doing a catch-up game and to get it there. So by the end of 8th sprint, we are here. So let's see, where does this velocity, remember the velocity topic, we talked about velocity, average number of user stories that we process. Now let's say, hypothetically picking it up, this scenario here. At this stage, say we have, let's say 4th at this stage. Let's call this stage. Where this velocity part will come into picture. So this is the total plan. Like this is where, let's call it like 40. Let me just call it 40. So you've completed 40 user stories, and the total were 100 to start with. So at this, if I look at, we have done 4 sprints. So what is your velocity? What is the velocity if you have completed 4 user stories? 40. Amjad says 10. Is your velocity 10, everyone? Is your velocity 10? Average? Yes, because you have 4 sprints done, and totally your finish is 40. So 40, like your total of 40 user stories divided by total number of sprints, you got 10 user stories. 10 user stories per sprint you're doing. So your velocity is 10. Now, hypothetically assuming, now if you have total agreed sprints to be completed was 8 only. So now you have 4 more sprints left over. And how many more you have to complete? 60 more user stories you have to complete, because you are at 40, you have to get 100. So you have to do 60 more user stories. And how many more, like not this one, not this extra one. I'm like just adding like only 100 part of it. So from this standpoint, so forget about this. I'm just trying to make sure where do you use the velocity part. So you have 40 user stories completed, 60 more to be completed, and you have 4 more sprints left over. Now, if I continue to do this job at the same your velocity, 10 multiplied by 4, I'll end up completing another 40, which will be, I will be left with 20 more. So do I need to increase? Yes, Amjad. So what should be my velocity? Amjad has mentioned 15. Yeah. So I know if I continue at the same rate at this stage, if I look at my velocity is 10 and I have 4 more users to 4 more sprints left over. So if I continue with 10, I will not be able to finish it. So I know I have to increase my velocity to 15 because I have got only 4 sprints left over. So if I maintain a velocity of 15 and with 4 more, I will be able to finish this. So that's the plan. That's where the velocity comes into the picture part. So we'll be able to use velocity here. So to see how much is spending, how much we have to improve. And yes, for that, I may have to increase the resources, do whatever you want. But again, you can't exceed the time. So if I have to put more resources, I will put more resources now. I'll have to look into this, like doing the speed up the work, less of error, less of like. So I will try to ensure that I don't go and like breach that, because time is the worst thing that you like. If you can violate the time, then that will be a problem again as per the contract. But again, this is where you look velocity part comes into picture. So burn up chart will help you to understand how you move from sprint to sprint to complete the backlog, and this is where your velocity part will come into picture to kind of look into it. Are we maintaining the right velocity, or we need to increase it? Is it significant to find? Yes, it is. Otherwise, without knowing that, how would I know? Am I on maintaining the right track or not, right speed or not? Because if I just continue to work without knowing what is, see, if I would have continued at the same rate, by the end of 8th sprint, I would have only finished 80. So if I do only 10 user stories per sprint and I have 8, then I'll end up doing only 80 only. So without knowing what's my velocity, I will not know, am I on the right track or not? Is it clear with everyone? So burn up chart is linked up with your velocity part, and it's sprint by sprint. But burn down chart will be within the sprint, how you're finishing the work, whatever planned work is there. So that was burn up chart, burn down chart, very important ones. You could get a question like that in the examination. Well, they will ask you whether it's good or bad looking at the chart. Now, this is a Kanban board. Well, task board, Kanban board, we already seen, like we already compared with the Kanban board and the sprint kind of thing, remember? So whenever user is available, they pull the work, the Kanban board. I hope we all recall the Kanban board. That's what it's talking about. That can help you to understand how many user stories are pending, how many are like which. So it is always going to be there. But there is a strange thing that the first iteration was, okay, let's go back and see. From first iteration, like this is where we started. So when you complete the first iteration, like this is where technically we started here. Where the first iteration, we started the 100. This is the work which was completed was here, the 10. So not we start from the beginning here. It's a day one pretty much. We like this is where first completes and second starts. First completes and second starts. So work will be counted here. Is it clear? Is it okay? So this is where we're starting. First iteration is starting, and this is where how many we complete? 10 in the first iteration. This is where we have the demo. 10 was finished. So we started here on technically. The starting point is here on. It's supposed to be continued. It will be supposed to be continued. So here we have completed. Here we are completing the 7th. Like so, from here till here, it is 7th which is completing. 8 will start. 8 will start from here. Yeah, it's starting from here. It's starting from here. The zeros, the first iteration is starting. With 8 will start from here. 8 iteration will start. So 7 is, see, look at this. First from here till here. Second from here to here. Third starts from here to here. Fourth starts. So it will be more of a continuation which will be required. Is it clear? It is more of like it will start from 0, obviously. Day 1 will be starting. Update after. Update after each iteration. That's what it says.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Can I talk better?
Yeah, please.
Actually, we are discussing just to understand more. Your explanation, it's good for me, but what I understand here from the slide, it's updated after each iteration. So if it is updated after the first iteration, that means the first iteration was 0. If we consider it is the beginning, this number at the beginning of iteration, the first iteration. So the 8th iteration, the last one, it is not yet updated in the file.
Okay, so you see here what we're saying that there was no changes done in the first iteration. Like are you saying that there was no work completed in the first iteration?
Yes.
I'll have to. I can check.
This is based on this example. Our discussion just to understand this example in particular.
See, well, I can be wrong also. No, there's nothing wrong with it. I can just check. So show accumulated and progress completed work. Update after each iteration. Looks like. But again, there's no line. That's what I'm see. My only apprehension here is that there's probably the image needs to be corrected, whatever. But again, because there is no line, otherwise I would have started from here. See, the only problem I have here is it should have plotted a line here. Somewhere a line should have been there. That's what I would have assumed that there's no work done.
It's okay. It's okay, sir. No issue. But based on my understanding, to burn out, let's say, feature or graph, I am with the update after each iteration because you are updating the progress.
We're supposed to. So, okay, when we talk about, we are supposed to update after each iteration, right? So, technically, so my iteration starts from, like, that's what the way I'm reading it. See, I would have tried, the only way I would assume this is that 0 work is done if this chart would have had any line here. I would have said there's no work done. I would have agreed for that. Like, I would have said there is no work done if this line would have been here. Probably the chart needs to be extended, but if I take it, I would rather keep it like it starts from here itself. Because it starts from here.
Yeah, the line. Yes. Okay, I got it.
I would agree with this line. If this line would have come, like they would have plotted a line, that means there's no work done, no improvement.
Yeah. Can I say something here?
Please, Roxana.
Anything when it touches the axis down, which means it's a 0. This is a graphical representation when we do economics, demand curve and everything. So anything which is touching the axis means 0. So not necessary it should start from the origin. It can start on any line in the axis. Hope this helps to understand.
So, okay. So pretty much when we're saying that, like what do I make in like meaning out of this one? That's what I'm trying to figure out here. That we did complete, no, we did no work in here in the first iteration?
No, but
Like, and that's what I'm trying to figure out here. Does it mean, because see, wherever you will see, let me quickly show it to you. The previous one, if you just try to relate with it, you will probably understand my attention to calling that there's no work done. The reason being, if you look at it, it will always correct. Look at this. Can you see this? We completed, but again, do you see the red line? It said it will continue till that point. That means we maintain.
yes.
So, well, if I look at the next with the previous next one, I'm not able to see that if there was zero work done, there could be a fault of the chart, which is absolutely fine. But if the reason why I'm calling it that it's starting from here, because otherwise I should have seen, if this, I'm saying this was first iteration completed and there was no work, I should have seen a line here like this. Then I would have counted it as it started from here, because there's no line. Again, that's what I'm believing that it's all starting.
No, if you see the parallel lines, which is shaded white and then purple color and then white, so there is a gap, which means it is the full bar, no? So the first iteration started. So by the time you come to second one, it reaches to some number. So it started from 0, but then you reach to certain amount in iteration 2. So previous graph also, if you see in June, there is no particular point. It's like a bar, which means there is a gap. So within that space, you started in June 1st. So there is a gap bar, no? There is, yeah. Yeah, but, yeah.
Agree, but actually, the technique for both.
Try to kind of get.
Are you hearing me?
You probably see it could be a glitch with the chart. Let's kind of try to see a burn up chart.
But there is a different technique between these two let's say graphs. The burn down.
To relate with it.
The burn down technique. It is updated since beginning. What's remaining with you?
Again, that's also, look at it, like this is starting, like it's giving me a 0, and like look at this, it is from 0, it's moving on till 1. This is where we have moved some. Look at this. If it has to,
but this is iteration 0, sir. This is iteration 0.
Start from somewhere, so it has to. I would see that connection. Like, so my only apprehension is that if it remains, I would see that connection. If there was no work done, I would have seen, like, my only apprehension of not calling that there was, like, see, if there was no work done, I would see a flat. I should have seen that there's 0 and there should have been a line there. That's my only, so we may, so from the only apprehension I have is of not calling that as there was some work done there, because primarily if I say there's some work done, like there was no work done there, I would have seen a line like this, the way it's connecting here. See, technically, I still see it. The work was completed 19th June, but we still say that this could become, now it's become a status quo now. So it is, if I look at it,
but for the burn down, the update will be at the beginning of a certain period.
See, for the was finished here. If I look at the burn down, the work got finished at this point. The work got finished.
We are updating it at the first of each day, let's say.
Yeah.
But for the burn up, we are updating it at the end of each day, or at the end of each iteration.
Iteration, right? Also, and that's what we're saying. If I'm saying here, when we completed the first sprint, I should have seen that there is, like, so if there was no work done, I should have seen a line. If it's starting, so we say iteration 0, probably there should have been a line connecting. There was no work done, 0 completed. I should have seen, probably it's something to do with the graph, or probably, and we say the only my apprehension is I don't see a line, and that's why I would want to call it as it got updated. So I'm saying that it started here and it ended here at the end of first sprint. It started here, it ended here. So that's why I'm counting it that way, because there's no line here. Otherwise, I would have read it that way, like starting from here. The first sprint we had no work done. Second sprint we had.
But by this, the chart, it's against what's mentioned as a description.
Which one?
Which is update after each iteration.
Update, like, so it's supposed to update after each iteration, right? That's what it says. Update after each iteration. So whenever you're trying to update it after each iteration, technically, so this point is they talk about this should have been. There's a graph which ideally should have like so. This pointers we're talking where we have reached after each iteration. Ideally should have been counted that way. But then there is a glitch in this graph which has to be corrected probably. Then I need to highlight it to these people. Well, because I should see a line there. If I'm going to go with this line, ideally there should be a line which should connect with there was no work done.
Clear, sir. Clear, sir. Thank you very much.
Without absolutely see, there's nothing. See, honestly, good that we are able to have a discussion and here without any doubt, like things which needs to be clarified. There's it's not that I will always be 100% right. So we'll see people. We all have been working in the same industry, and there are things which we definitely want to kind of make sure that. Then that's why we would like to. It was good that you pointed it out, and it's good at least I will be now able to kind of put a note back to these folks and say, well, give us the clarity. Okay. Well, where there should have been a line, or probably give me the clarity.
Thank you, sir. Thank you
for bringing this up, sir. Thank you.
Simple thing is we can name it as iteration 0, 1, 2, 3 and make it 7 instead of 8.
Yes, probably. So I would say something needs to be corrected on there. Yes, absolutely.
Yes, this is better labeling. Yes,
clarity. Yes, good that you brought this up. So I will be able to at least check with these guys because bottom line, there is something which I'm also not convinced now. So now definitely good that somebody like I've been looking at these slides for probably so many times. I've never nobody pointed, nor I probably watched it. So good that observation comes from someone at some point of time. So thank you. I will.
Hi, Shashi, Farooq this side.
Yes, Mr. Farooq, please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. So I just wanted to add on a point since the discussion has arisen. Let me share a point of experience of mine. So see, there are two categories. One, some team they start with iteration 0. That's completely fine. Other one, they directly start with iteration 1. So what does it mean? So iteration 0, as you said, of course, we have mentioned it iteration 0. From iteration 0 to iteration 1, some kind of work has been done.
Right.
Here also it is the same scenario, but the problem what has happened here is we do not have iteration 0 as a label here, which doesn't mean that. A good example, we just wanted to start a work. We were given 5 days of time. And during this 5 days of time, we were working. And at the end of the 5th day, we had a review, that got updated. From 5th day onwards, it carried on. So that is how this chart goes. The reason why I'm sharing this is because I have witnessed both the scenarios in my kind of an experience, both having iteration 0, starting with iteration 0 and starting with iteration 1 as well.
Okay. Well, so good that you, so I have definitely, but I would, good that again, you at least have one more aspect. So when I'm going to write an email, so I'll put it. So at least I will be able to share the feedback that I got from the people while having this discussion. And yes, I would want to hear their perspective when they made a chart. Well, do they also find this as an issue, or they have a justification for that? So I'll
for sure they'll be having a justification.
Actually, because either they add the iteration 0 or they add another iteration after iteration 8 to update the progress of iteration 8.
I would definitely want to have the clarity here. But again, that's good that we have this. At least I would be definitely.
Thank you all. I'm sorry for inconvenience and disturbing this.
Makes sense.
That's can continue, sir.
Thank you, everyone. Yeah. So, Mr. Mohammed, again, there is something which needs to be understood about. But again, logically, what we are able to we got to keep in mind that these burn-up charts will help us to understand how the work is getting done. Basically, as the work is like sprint after sprint, so it will be used for sprint-wise work which is done. So where velocity concept can come into picture. Yes, image-wise, again, we still have some bit of discrepancy, which definitely need to have clarity. Conceptually, we should know what is the purpose of the burn-up chart. And Diana, no, these are not available in Minitab. No, this will not be available in Minitab. Let's check out the task board. Pretty much we have discussed about this during the Kanban part. I hope you recall the Kanban thing we discussed about the user stories which are there. Then further you kind of pull the designer puts up the work, then developer pulls the work based on the availability. You recall that discussion? We did some bit of sketching and the work will be pending if somebody is not available. The Kanban board works that way based on the availability of resources. The Kanban chart is generally now this is the velocity chart which tells you on an average how many user stories you're working per sprint. So these are like first use, like for this particular sprint, we had say somewhere a little higher than 100, This was less than a little 100. So on an average, what's your velocity? Which is average, which we already know. The velocity chart helps you to understand what's the rate of your user stories that you process. So basic stuff. We will be quickly checking this out. This is from lean perspective. The chart is very horrible. So we'll have to understand these 4 terminologies. One is WIP, lead time, cycle time, throughput. Like throughput, we'll try to understand from this chart. Pretty much it's like a really horrible one. Let's try to understand what it means. So quick one, these are all lean terms. Actually picked up 100% from lean. So we'll have to go and do some bit of sketch work to create it. Okay, so here is a customer who places an order with a company. The customer places this order on, say, hypothetically, 1st of the month. And this information is relayed to the customer, like through the company. So there's a department which is technically the store and all. So this is, say, first department, like let me call it A. And they get the raw material. When they get the order, on the first, they start procuring the raw material from the vendor. There was a vendor who supplied the raw material and everything. They started the work. Then there, like various other departments were involved in this one. So when they got the raw material, production team came into picture. They started the production work. Once the production was done, then they were the team which was getting the quality control thing. They did the quality control job. When the quality control was done, practically then was like, say, the packaging thing, and then there was the logistics team came into picture, and finally it was sent back to the customer. So customer placed the order, customer received the order, we did the job. This was 30th day of the month. That's how it is. So just to understand this entire thing. So first term we want to understand is lead time. Now lead time is taken as from order till delivery, everything. Order till delivery, this is my lead time. So my lead time will be like from 1st till 30th, which is a total of 30 days of your lead time. That means from order to delivery. That's what we call as lead time. Now we talk about what is, then there is a term called cycle time. A cycle time is the actual time that you do the job, actual time. So let's see what do you mean by this is the actual time here, and we'll calculate what is the cycle time. So the store, the procurement process of the raw material, let's call it like this guy, they took about, say, 2 days time to procure the raw material. The actual time of the procurement, the store guys. Production process, there were multiple steps involved in there. Let's say the entire production part, it took roughly like, say, 15 days time for production to be completed, all of it. The quality took, say, roughly to do this audit and all, they took about, say, 2 days time. And then there was this packaging team, they took about 2 days time. And the logistics team, their actual work took about, say, 4 days. That's what we have. So what is my cycle time? This is the actual time they took, the department took them to do the job. So my cycle time will be 2 days plus 15 days plus 2 days plus 2 days plus 4 days, which will be 17 to 19, 21, and 25. So we've got 25 days of cycle time. Now, where are the remaining 5 days coming from? That's what we talk as work in progress, WIP, work in progress. It's technically in between work in progress, or you can say even the waiting time. This is a type of a waiting time. So what happens with this work in progress? When this department, when they sort of customer placed an order, probably there was a store did not start. The procurement department did not start procurement from the same day itself. So there was probably a delay or a gap where they waited. Probably things took about 1 day. Those of processing was taking they were delayed in doing the job. This was roughly about a delay of say 0.5 days when they procured, but production did not start it immediately. There was a 0.5 days delay of they starting the work. When this production team completed the job, there was another say 0.5 days of delay when the quality team started working, doing the job on that one. So let's call that these guys did. Packaging team took about 1 more day. These guys took 1 more day, and then pretty much these two. So this is the maths around say 1. This is 2, 3, 4, 5. There was in between 5 days of waiting or work in progress. In between 2 process steps, that's work in progress. In between that, so actual time is the cycle time where work actually happens. Work in progress is in between 2 process steps, the work which is stuck, and the time basically the duration. Lead time is end to end. So if I talk about the entire thing, lead to end to end, will be a component of your work in progress plus your cycle time will lead to lead time. So total time is technically the breakout. If you do this, the actual time plus the remaining time that you're looking for is going to be total lead time. There's one more terminology which is we have here. We call it throughput. The last one is throughput. What do you mean by this throughput? Like so I have to, okay, before we get to, because we have to do a little bit a different sketch. Quick check with everyone. If it's okay and clear for throughput, I'll have to go to Excel. Is it fine with everyone so far? What is the meaning of lead time, cycle time, and work in progress in between? So I'm going to get rid of this one because X throughput we can only understand on Excel because there will be some calculations required. So conceptually, what is lead time is end-to-end. Order to delivery. Lead time, Mr. Mash, order to delivery. When do you order? When did you get? Total. That's total days, 30 days. Lead time is end-to-end. Everything. So you add work in progress and the cycle time. The overall, the end-to-end time is the lead time. Now let's talk about what is this throughput. For that, we'll have to understand how basically lean works this way. The calculation lean works this way. So department A, department B, let's call it department B here. Department C. Department A, so there is an input of this department received an input like they have raw material procured to do the job. They got, let's say, 100 items. They procured 100 items to do the job, raw material. When this processing happened, as a result of this processing, when we talk about the output created was, so I would say first time right output created output. We had, let's say, 85. So there were 15 defects in there. So then technically the manager of department A would look into it and they find that out of 15, the completely damaged items are 5. So we can't save them. We lost them. They were destroyed completely. And then 5, like 10 were repairable. So reworked or repaired items were 10. So the net output after rework is going to be the 85, which were the process absolutely correct for the first time, which had no problem, plus the 10 which we repaired, which is 95. And we lost this 5 because there was damage. This is the throughput of this particular process. The items which are exiting a system, let's say do that, and we'll talk about the definition then. Now this 95 goes to the next department. 95, we only received 95 because we lost 5. Now this department started their job, whatever they have to do on that item. Now, so A department does the job, it goes to B. B department does the job, it goes to C, and finally C completes the job, and the final item is created. Now, when they started processing it, the first time right output was say 87 items. So we had about 7 items which had some problem. So they got it checked and they found that 2 items are damaged and 5 are repairable. So these 2 items were lost in the process. So we had a net output of this process was 87 gold plus this 5 which were repaired with 92. This was the fresh item, technically the good items which were finally procured. Last process which will be processed here. So we had processing done and we had, let's say, again 7 items which were damaged. So we had 85 items good out of it. And when we found, during this process, that 5 items were completely damaged and 2 were repairable. So we lost this 5 also in this process. And in the end, my output was 85 plus 2 was 87. So my net output, the customer only gets 87 items. That's what is. Now, when we say what is the meaning of throughput, throughput definition is the items either exiting the good items, only the good acceptable items exiting a system or entering the next system. That's what is called throughput. The good items exiting a system or entering a new system is going to be throughput. This is throughput for this department, 95. Now, this process happened, the process, how much items are exiting the system, 92. And same is entering the next system. So number of good items exiting the system or entering the next process. So technically, this is again creating it, and that's my the net, because there's no exit. It's only the output which is going to be created. So whenever we talk about the definition of throughput, if you go back and when see this, it's going to be the same. And yes, if you want to know the why department 92, not 93, because we look at this, 87 were good and 5 were repaired. 87 plus 5, 92. Is it clear?
So the worst, sorry, Mr. Shashi.
Yeah.
So the worst department here is department 1, right? Department A.
We'll have to check this out. So if you talk about department A, in a lean world,
you have to continue to make the test, right? To see who's the worst department here.
Okay. Well, we have to so depending on if we talk about lean perspective, the definition is very different.
Yes.
We can from a lean perspective, so I'm just going to talk about from a lean perspective. Throughput yield is calculated different. Lean, it's calculated different. It is going to be 85 out of 100. It is going to be, in lean, it's different. Worst department, you're right about that. Worst department is the worst department. You're 100% correct. Okay, well, give me 1 quick second. I don't get why we have the damage is 5. And okay, well, okay, this process, they are. Give me 1 quick second. So we did 100 items. We got out of 100. Let's kind of do the calculation quickly again. We had 85 items good. So
Sir, the calculation, there is no calculation in department B.
Okay, probably we missed.
Because 78 plus 2 plus 5, it is 94, not 95.
Okay, let's so this.
So you have to increase 1 item, either repairable or damageable.
Perfect, makes sense. Thank you.
The issue will be into.
Thank you. I probably missed out then. This is perfect. Now, so we got 95.
No, sir. Now it's increased than 95.
Give me 1 quick second. So here we had 87 good items. So we had 5 and 3.
6. You can make the rework or repair 6, not 8.
Okay. We had 3 and 8, a total of 8 items which were damaged. This has to be 6. You're right about that. Now it's correct. Now it should be correct.
That's it. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, sir. And this will be 93 here. Now, is it okay clear now? I guess I made a mistake there. Mr. Mohammed, is it clear now? Well, this is the work where they were doing. And while, see, we're just going to reiterate this. What is with these guys started working with 100 items. They had to do some job while they were processing and doing their job. While processing, the only output which came out of the process, which was 85 items, were good without any error. So 15 items were damaged. Now they looked at it and they found 5 are completely damaged, so you have to replace them. And 10 were repairable, so they reworked and repaired. So what was the good item? 85, and the 10 which were repaired, which is total of 95. Is that clear?
So the 5, what I understand, another thing, like the 5 is the minimum damage. So do you have 5, 5, 5?
Yeah, so 5 here, 2 here we lost, and so we have to actually look at in the end we got 87.
Now it makes sense because it's different. So each time they are working, the team A lost 5, team B lost 2, and team C lost 5.
Yes, total we lost 13. And
now makes sense. 87. Now makes sense. Thank you. Now makes sense.
So for the definition, wise, please have a look at this. The number of items entering or exiting system. Number of items entering or exiting system. This is what we call as throughput. So the number of good item entering a system or exiting. So this is exiting a system or entering the system. So from this system, it's exiting, it's entering. So what do we call this? Is the net output, which is good, is called throughput. So that's what it is, the definition. The number of good items entering system or exiting. We call that throughput. So this is pretty much on the throughput part. One element here.
The first 100, Mr. Shashi, the first 100 should be considered in the entering and exiting.
Because it's coming as input, but that's not throughput. Throughput is what will be created as an output. So see, the whatever is getting created as an output will be an input for another department. That will be
exactly.
That's input. So see, here this one is a throughput because it's coming out of the process. But this is just an input. This is just an input. It is just an input we take, but an output, the processing started. That's when we started calculation of the throughput. Throughput will come into calculation when you start.
Why I'm saying this, like if you are like I'm talking about my field now, okay?
Yeah.
So for us, let me say, like in the warehouses, the inbound and the outbound for us, it's our total throughput per day. What do I mean here? If I'm receiving on a daily basis like 100 or 200 pallets per day, and I have dispatched also 200 pallets, so total throughut of my process is 400 pallets per day. This is what I'm talking about. So the input here is same like the inbound in the normal warehouse operation. You got me? This is what I mean. This is what I meant. And whenever I'm delivering this throughput to the production, regardless if I'm receiving the raw materials and dispatching I'm packing it in a certain way to dispatch it to the production line. So this is the throughput. So it's going, if you are taking it from the whole cycle, a process cycle. So we consider this 400 pallets. It's our throughput as a warehouse. Then in the production, once they receive and dispatch, also they consider their throughput. At the end of the day, we calculate the whole throughput and for our to understand the whole process for our throughput per day.
Only when it comes into picture, says 100 items were supplied by the store, and if it's accepted by the production, well then pretty much it'll be throughput for your department. So please keep this in mind. It has to be a process which has to, like say, I may go and supply say 100 items to the production team, but they in that when they audit, because when I'm receiving it, I will do the quality check to receive an item. If I see that there are 5 items are not good or 10 items are not good, I will reject them and I will not accept them. So there will be throughput in case they accept everything, then it's your throughput in that case. So if in case you're the one supplying it and somebody is receiving it, there's a process which has happened. It's a process. If they have accepted, then it's a process. So, well, if they reject something, then it will be like, then it will be throughput, then you can, because that's also a process. So if you're getting it from the supplier supplies it to your company, and like say if I have a vendor supplies it. And if like say a vendor supplies 100 items and I only accepted say like 80 out of them, I say that 20 are not up to the mark, they're not as per the requirement. So technically the throughput will only be 80 in that case. So whenever there has to be, like the process has to be there. If I'm just taking the process as coming as input without taking anything before, so the process has to complete. There has to be input coming into the process and an output getting created. So when you are saying that you are receiving an output, like the material you're giving it to the certain department, if they're accepting it, then I would definitely count it as a throughput in that case. In that case only. If it's received, if you're giving it to somebody and they're accepting it, then there's a process created here. That's similar process like that. If you all are accepted, then it's great. It's a throughput, 100%. It has to be accepted. So if somebody supplies, somebody gets it. A process has to be there. And it may, like we may be using from a lean perspective, again, this is how we calculate, because there has to be like a process involvement has to be there, because there could be something which may not be acceptable. And that's where we will have to do the calculation. And they're done very differently in terms of how you calculate in lean and in general how you calculate, because lean you do not whether if I was talking about this, if I talk about my error-free rate, here I'm not giving a percentage. I'm looking at calculation. My throughput. This is throughput in lean. We're only counting 85. We're not counting 95. We're not taking 95%, because in the end we had 95 good items, but we're only counting 85%. That's lean way of calculating. You don't give the credit for rework. You don't give the credit for rework in lean. We were able to repair 6, but are we getting the credit for 6? No. But that's the way of lean dealing. Lean, we just do not give any credit for rework. We only give credit for first time right output. Any correction will be penalized. Well, that's a lean way of doing it. That's a separate. So all in all, throughput part is all about the number of good items either entering a system or exiting a system. Will be number of good items will be called as a throughput. Now, while we're doing the job, budget challenges may come into picture, and these budget challenges can be because of multiple reasons. Well, a couple of them are not my problem. Say What if the project requirements have changed? Well, that's not my problem. Scope has changed. Customer has asked for something more. That's not my problem. We'll revise, there will be change requests. That's not my problem. This is definitely, if a new risk has come into picture, because of which we have burnt more money and probably much more money than we anticipated. We have contingency reserve with us, but that was insufficient for us. And pretty much we have exhausted more money. That could lead to budget challenges. And probably, or we may have not done a proper cost estimate. We may have not done a good estimation, and we might have taken less budget, less cost for it. And that's my blunder. That's when so we might have to get into the change request process in that case. So budget challenges, one where the customer is requesting for it, then it's not a problem. But if we were not able to do it properly, the estimation, or for that matter, some significant risk has come and that has burned up all the money that we had, or like most of the money, then practically I may have budget challenges which I have to handle. And that will be handled through only change request process. You don't have a choice there. So now I'll be skipping some slides here. I'll tell you, it's all about the calculation part. So I'm just going, these are the things which will be EVM, earned value management. We'll be looking at these formulas there. So I'm just skipping these slides here, which is the calculation we'll be doing, earned value, planned value, actual cost. We'll be seeing that, all of it. Let's see, these are the formulas. We'll be checking them out in that Excel sheet, ETC. Let's leave it here and we'll go back to Excel. Now, all those formulas which we talked about, I shared them. I think I shared them last week when we were having a discussion. Let's go and look at the calculation. Now, first thing first, 99.99% of time, people have always got only these two metrics. This is only, so you might be given a scenario and they, after kind of talking about all possible scenarios, they might give you a SPI number, they might give you a CPI number and say, are we ahead of target? Are we behind target? So concept will remain the same. Well, but barring that, yes, there was some additional calculation. We can quickly talk about it. So because you never say never, you could be given any formula also. You could be asked to calculate something else also. But again, generally, people have always, I have not come across any person who has talked about like they were asked about any other formula. But it's quite possible. But most common question is all about knowing the CPI and SPI. Let's talk about how do we do this calculation. So first thing first, let's talk about this here. We have, like say, we have a piece of land, let's say like 500 yards. And I speak with a contractor consultant who's supposed to do this construction here. And he says, well, this is like like we have to do a boundary. That's it. So each wall will take 1 day. And so that means I'll finish this wall in like 4 days and I'll charge $1,000 per wall. So the planned duration is, as agreed, is 4 days, each wall 1 day. And the budget at completion, BAC, the cost baseline. The BAC is the highest point on your cost baseline. So which is agreed is 4,000. So $4,000, 4 walls, 1 wall per day, job done. That's the plan. So while the work was going on, I happened to visit at the end of 3rd day, and I was surprised. I saw that only 1.5 walls work was completed. Ideally, I was expecting 3 walls will be completed by the end of 3rd day. This is work performance data. 1.5 walls completed. Work performance data. Is it good or bad? I don't know. Now, when I will compare with the target, I will see it will be meaningful information, the target part, and I'll see am I ahead of target or behind target. But this is just 1.5 walls I see. Good or bad, I don't know. So I asked this project manager that why it's like 1.5 walls. So this guy started kind of talking about there was like a lot of rain and practically we could not work. The labors were here. We lost a lot of material also, like because while we were working, all the material got washed out due to rain. So we already wasted a lot of money here. So by the end of the 3rd day, because of the rework and a lot of labor, we had to do like some bit of extra work and to recover that and all that. So we already burned about $3,200. By the end of 3rd day, we already spent this much because I had to get some people to do overtime and all that. That's the actual budget which has been spent. Now we're trying to get into some facts here. Based on this story, what is the percentage of work which has been completed? 1.5 walls completed out of the plan which was 4. So as of today, as a total plan completed, we have only completed 37.5% of the planned work. Now that's my work performance information. That's 37.5 has been completed against the plan. And what should have been completed as of now? 3 walls out of 4. So The planned completion was 75%. The actual completion is only 37.5. Now I will be looking at earned value. How much value, whatever this 1.5 was that been completed, how much value have we earned in terms of like everything will be translated. Time will become translated into money. Money will always be by default in money. So everything here will be converted in money. Even time will be in money. Earned value is going to be calculated. Earned value will be calculated as the percentage complete, whatever you have completed till now, of the total budget. How much, like, because you completed 37.5% work of 4,000, which is about 1,500. So if we take 15, like what has been completed? 37.5% of what? Of 4,000, that's the total value of work, which is planned. So you have earned a value of 1,500 because you've completed 1.5 walls. The value of that wall is about 1,500. What was planned to be completed by now? Obviously, the planned completion was 75% as of today, which 75% of 4,000 should have been completed, which 3,000 worth value should have been completed. So there is a variance which has been created. Schedule variance is calculated as earned value minus planned value. So you've got earned value, you've got planned value. EV minus PV will give you schedule variance, which is a negative of 1,500. So we're behind $1,500 worth of time, like in terms of time. So time is also converted into money. And in terms of cost, we have already spent more money. So technically, if I talk about cost is the earned value that you completed versus what you've actually spent. So you've spent about 3,200 here, like, and the value that you've earned here is basically 1,500 only. So you have an extra spending done, but 1,700, which is negative variance for you. Now, technically, the concept of the SPI CPI is the only metric which is a meaningful sense. Will have a meaningful sense. How you get this CPI or SPI? It's called the scheduled performance index is the earned value divided by whatever is the planned value. If you look at the formula, you have to kind of understand, memorize the formula. When I do this earned value divided by planned value, the value I get is this 0.5. What do I mean by this 0.5? What it tells me that when one complete day worth of work is done, time, in terms of time, 1 day worth of time is spent, only half day worth of work is completed in terms of time, not in terms of money. When I say 0.5, what it means that when my team will work one complete day, the output will be created, which will be only half day. That's what it means. So if my SPI says 0.9, what it means when team completes 1 day worth of work, 0.9 days worth of work is completed. If my team says that if this value of SPI is 1.25, what tells me that my team works 1 day, they create the value worth of 1.25 days in terms of time. That work which would have been completed in 1.25 days, they have been able to complete in 1 day, which is great. So SPI, simple logic is it should be always higher than 1. 1 means on target, but less than 1 is a horrible situation. That means you have to do a fast tracking, crashing, do whatever to speed up because you're doing less work in terms of time and you're spending more time. So it is all in all, anything less than, in case of when you talk about less than 1 is a bad sign, more than 1 is good, on time is good. So it's like on target, which is also not good. CPI. CPI is earned value divided by the actual value. When you do this, cost here I'm looking at 46.46, 46 cents. What it means that if I spend $1, output worth of that $1 is only 46 cents. If I spend about $1, the output created from that $1 is only worth 46 cents. So technically, if I keep spending the money at at this rate, I will only be creating 46% of that value, not 100%. If I'm spending $1, I'm getting 46 only. So I'm only getting 46% value of that $1. So the money which I'm spending, I'm getting quite less than that as an output. So for every time, if I keep spending money, I will only be getting 46%, let's call it 47%. So I'll be losing 57% of that money all the time. Every single dollar I spend, I'll be losing about remaining percentage of that value of money. So again, same logic. If my CPI says it's less than 1, it's bad. If my CPI says 1, like say 1.2, what it means that if I spend $1 worth, like $1, the output created is worth $1.2, which is great. I would always want higher than 1. So based on this, we calculate this EAC, estimate to complete. So given that now you are doing a bad job here, like in terms of money, you're spending $1, getting only 46 cents out of it. So at this rate, if you continue spending, So you will require how much? You will require $8,533. Even you spend $8,533, you will create a value worth of 4,000. To create a value worth of 4,000, you will require 8,533, because when you burn this much of money, that's when the value of 4,000 will be created, because you have a CPA of 46% here. And say, with that being said, you already spent about 3,200 already. You already spent 3,200 out of this. So you balance how much more will be required. It's 5,333. This is extra money that you need more apart from what you already spent. This is the extra money. So what is the variance that you have? The variance that you have is the 4,000, which is like the initial plan. But what you're now looking for is at the completion, because you expecting that at completion, you only have 4,000. Now you're looking at expected completion is for 8,533. So your complete variance at completion will be about 4,533. So again, I would not say that you cannot get a question about other formulas. So again, this is all we have to keep in mind. A, the codes. B, the complete name. Also, you never know. But yes, most common one is this. This is all. Well, what I expect, and I believe this is what you will be only getting, is you will be given a story, and on that story you will be given a SPI number or a CPI number. You just have to look at it and say, okay, it's good or bad based on that. So all in all will be easier. But again, please keep this in mind. Do pick this up. Try to practice this and try to change the numbers, change the values, and try to get comfortable. These are only things which you have to memorize from calculation perspective. There's no other calculation which is there. This can be done. So yes, I would not say that this cannot come. Yes, it can come, but rarely people have seen it. Like this, I've not heard anyone personally telling me that I saw this, because everyone who appeared for exam, like this, I know the ones who have informed, they only got CPI, SPI, or but again, please do work them out. All conceptually, you should know what they mean. But again, that needs practice, some bit of practice and repetition here. A quick check on this. If anything needs clarity, but it's more about formulas. You can't do much about it. I have shared it already. I guess I shared it last week itself. It was shared in the last week, day 10, I guess. Day 10, I shared it. I'll just check it out. Is it okay with us? A quick check. This needs practice. Okay. One thing, let's do one thing. Let's take a, I guess, will be, it was shared last week itself. Pick one here. While the work is going on, we will be required to measure all these numbers and all that. We have to keep in mind while the work is going on, it will include the team and the external contractors also. We have to constantly monitor this, because of risk happening, you might end up doing extra, might end up burning more money than expected. Because of this, that can lead to delays. And as a result of there could be some potential disputes which might happen. And we'll talk about some of the disputes here. So dispute can happen because of contract changes and all. So yes, there are potential risks which can lead to further consequences. So whenever anything which is typically related to dispute or technically with an external contractor, we'll have to keep in mind rule. You have a vendor. When a vendor is assigned to you, you give this person the acceptance criteria, inform this person about the job which needs to be done. This guy provide all the resources which is required for this person to do the job. This person is doing the job. Make sure you give the vendor the proper feedback and monitor this person doing the job. Do the quality audit. If the work is done, release this person. Inform the procurement team this person's job is done. Release the vendor. Bottom line. So during the entire thing, you have to keep in mind, if any dispute arises as a result of this, we will be required to go and check the compliance process. We'll have to inform the procurement team during the entire progress, monitor the progress. If in case there is some change from the vendor side, practically there will be some sort of advance notification. If the vendor is not able to do the job, they should be informed. So that kind of expectation setting has to be done. In the end, all in all, what I need is formal acceptance criteria, all the deliverables which were there. If the job is done perfectly, inform the product or the procurement team that you can release the payment based on whatever the payment terms and conditions you have. As per the contract, you can release the payment. Bottom line, I am done, so I don't need this vendor anymore. The job is done. So all in all, every vendor, it's unethical to hold on to money. If the person has done the job, we must pay them on time. That again are against ethical practice. We will be taking the break right now. So let's do one thing. Let's take the break. Quick one. Give me a quick moment here. So shall we take we might need you want to take the regular 30 minutes break, or we would like to? Can you take the regular 30 minutes break, or you want to come, because then we'll need a complete thing. Let's take the regular one. Let's complete. Let's take the just because we'll have to complete this, and the 7 quality tools are just coming up. So probably let's take the regular one, and we'll be able to close on still before time. Yes. Let's take the regular break.
Mr. Satish, how many questions we can expect in calculation?
Not more than 2-3. I guess that's max. But again, I would still, these are pre-scoring marks. And honestly, if you have CPI, SPI, there's no calculation. Look at the number and decide whether it's ahead of target or behind target.
Okay, thank you.
Apart from that, you have to also monitor the non-human resources, which is about equipment. Everything is available. There's a price for everything. So equipment, material, facilities, infrastructure, anything that you've got, well, pretty much, if you don't need it, release it. Don't procure when you don't need it. So we will work with just-in-time approach. This is the approach used by Toyota as a company. The lean philosophy was introduced by Toyota, and they work with just-in-time. Well, the simple philosophy says, we procure when the customer demands, So at the right time, at the right place, at the right quality, right price, right quantity. Nothing before, nothing after, just in time. So, well, bottom line, you don't procure when you don't need. You procure when you need it, when the customer demands, basically when the demand arises, and you release when you don't need them, because there is a cost for everything. So, and you keep monitoring the resource utilization. You're able to utilize the resource properly, and how many hours. If I've got a crane at my construction site and this crane is only used for 2 hours, I am blocking the crane. So try to see and how can we utilize this for remaining hours, because I will, I know that I'm going to be utilizing it for 2 years. So I have to constantly monitor the utilization of resources, and yes, then take corrective actions according to it, so that we can ensure that the full and complete utilization of resource happens. So we're not paying unnecessarily for something which you're not using. That's pretty much on the non-human resource. So be it human resource, non-human resource, logic will remain the same. Don't procure resource when you don't need them. You release them when you don't need them. When the job is done, just release them. So try to optimize the resource, the performance of the people and for the machine or any non-human resource. That's all we have here. While you're doing the project and dealing with the project, there will be changes happening, which is by default it happens. So yes, we have the change request process in case of predictive. In case of agile, well, that is a part of, we don't have a process like that. Why? Because the agile nature is all about changes, and the changes are done whenever you have a sprint demo done, the customer can add those changes. And with those changes, you do a reprioritization of backlogs. Whenever those new changes are incorporated, we'll be going and reprioritizing it. It's the nature. So agile doesn't need to have a separate, there's nothing called change request in agile. Practically, because it's the nature. The process of Scrum will work and will include, and will have an option of including the new items. So we don't have a change control board, a change request, nothing of that sort. And yes, there could be certain things which can result in a dispute. Well, whenever the dispute arises, where there's a conflict of interest happening there, well, we can always refer to the historical documents, how this was handled. And we may also include the procurement department, the legal team to ensure, well, because it's not my job. I'm not the consultant. I'm not the right person to be taking a call. So I may include the concerned departments to look into it, because the vendor says, no, sorry, that's not my job. So, well, practically, I'm not the one who can get into that. So I will loop in the concerned people, and look, they will be able to sort out this issue, because contracts is what I don't deal with. So let the concerned people take the job and follow the historical procedures which are there. We'll give you a guideline, but honestly, as a project manager, it's not my job to handle disputes. Well, I needed a person, they got me the person. My understanding was clear, this guy is going to do this XYZ job. If you're saying, no, I'll do X, Y, but I'll not do Z, practically, I have to go back and tell my procurement team, this guy has a dispute on the Z job. He's not doing it this job. He's saying it's not my job. It was not agreed upon. They will like look into it. It's not what I can do because it's not. I'm not the one writing those contracts. So let the concerned team do it. But how do we handle this? Well, we should know primarily what all their different methods will be. Just checking them out. So all in all, whenever the process is going on, we will be doing a lot of quality audits. And from quality perspective, because see, if I don't do things like quality oriented, I will be doing rework, defects, rework will happen. That will increase the cost, that will increase the time also, because I have to spend time correcting those defects. So my schedule will get impacted, my cost will get impacted. So it's very important with our work, what is done, it's always first time right. And it's all aligned with the customer's acceptance criteria. So my team should know what are they working on, and they should be creating an output. So while the work is going on, we will be doing quality testing, which is quality assurance team will constantly work on designing and developing process metrics, would be creating training plans, would be doing audits, just to make sure the process remains in the perfect shape. Well, if the process, ideally that should happen. Having said that, whether the process did work as per the plan or not, will be checked by quality control team. Quality control team will be doing more of the Six Sigma kind of role, where they will be doing statistical sampling, data analysis, root cause analysis, and they will be checking whether the process actually worked as per the plan or not. So they will try to make sure it works as per the plan. So they will work well, the process is working. But this is the output. When the output is good or bad, can be checked by the quality control team. And yes, if they find error, they will be creating performance improvement plan. They will suggest the corrections to the quality assurance team that, guys, your work process is not good enough. It's not helping. So these are suggested action plan based on our statistical testing, the quality audits we have done. We recommend you make this adjustment in process. So quality control team will be doing this. So it's more around now going into the quality audit perspective, what all we do to ensure process remains under control. And in terms of quality, we do the quality job. So all in all, some methods we'll be talking about. So all what we already know, what happens in case of like a quality process, we know that there will be, the entire team should be clear about what is the acceptance criteria. We'll be working towards that acceptance criteria, and the team will verify, the quality control team, like quality assurance team, will ensure the work is done. But again, if the work is done correctly or not, will be checked by quality control team. So we verify as per whether deliverables meet those requirements or not. And if there are deviations, if it's not correct, they will do our statistical testing, identify those errors, do a root cause analysis, suggest the improvement so that the process can be corrected. And again, when the work is done, again, you verify now, is it doing perfect or not? So you continue to give feedback. That's a job. So they will be preparing a lot of reports and defects, like a recommendation, what needs to be, which is performance improvement plan. We call it PIP, which is recommended by the quality control team that you guys need to correct this. This is our finding from our root cause analysis. So we generally use something called 7 quality control tools, very commonly used, and we'll be checking them out right now. So very commonly used. And apart from that, yes, which is not recommended, like we'll be talking about them, that we'll talk into statistical testing, which is all about Six Sigma kind of job, which is where you get into data analysis and you kind of get into find out why something is happening again. In Agile, well, we don't have to worry about all this. Why? First of all, it's the way Agile works. It safeguards us. We don't have to get into all these hassles. Why? You have a backlog, you pull the items. That's an item which now you ask the customer, okay, tell me what is the need. So we're not planning everything here. This is all not, we're not doing a DOD for this. We have pulled the item, we're having a discussion. Well, you want to plan sprint 1, well, discuss what. So it's a short duration, a very short duration, which is where we are trying to have a discussion. My team does the job. And yes, whatever you tell me, I'm just delivering it to. So whatever you ask me, there's few user stories we discussed, I'm delivering, and you're giving me frequent feedback. And yes, whatever feedback you did give, the team will do a retrospective, will understand, will make the correction. So feedback loop is in the process, inbuilt in the process, not like a separate department. It is the part. Unless you do that feedback loop, it is not going to, like in any which is the cycle will not complete. So the Agile doesn't have, like, we don't need a quality team to do the job because it's a part of the structure, the flow. It will have to. So the team will do daily, like a daily stand-up. They will have a discussion. There are a lot of forums are there. So whenever we do the job, daily when we have the meetings, we will be having a discussion. What did we complete since yesterday? What are we planning to do today? And what were the impediments we faced? So this is one way you will have a quality audit having done almost every day. And apart from that, your retrospectives will be the period where you, like the demo period when you will be giving a feedback, the team will discuss. So it is a part of the entire flow process. So my team is just going to look into the feedback and continue to do the job, whatever the feedback, whatever the KPIs have been set for us, will be kind of working as per in compliance with that. So all in all, Agile by default has it as a part of the way Agile works. In case of predictive, we need to have okay. Is there a voice problem again? I just want to check. Because it's not been a problem now for quite some time now. Is it again you facing some problem? Because I like see as if it's not clear, it will not be clear for anyone. Okay, so again, see, so I guess Mr. Zakar, again, I guess the piece there could be some bit of thing because like otherwise it may not be clear for anyone. Like so, otherwise, like it's just saying, some people are saying there's little echo. So what? Why? And we're still talking about the same thing here. Let's see, just let me know in case if it happens again because I'm not sure what because there's still the same thing we're working on. Okay, that's quality audits. Again, that's what we are supposed to be doing throughout the project. While we're doing it, the quality team will be working as per the quality management plan to ensure that we are doing the work as per quality management plan. We'll be collecting data. We'll be doing statistical testing. We're talking about a Six Sigma kind of thing. We will be keeping in mind the cost of quality because the cost of delivering good quality, cost of the poor quality, the defect cost, all those will come into picture. The process design, basically the acceptance criteria that we have created, which is like how this is quality process will be quality assurance part. So all in all, when I'm talking about the overall process, the quality audits will be required. So when we talk about quality audits, the work will be done A, at the process level by the quality assurance team, B, by the quality control team. Quality control team will be working as per the quality management policy, and keeping in mind the acceptance criteria has to be fulfilled. They will collect data. That's what statistical testing happens. Analytical testing will happen, and we'll understand the defects and why it's happening and all that part. We can quantify that as what the cost of defect. So all in all, it's a part of all gain. Everything goes down to the quality audit. The quality audit process will come into picture, which is where we talk about these 7 quality control tools. These are the tools which your quality control team, and some of them will be used by quality assurance team also. So quality assurance team during the process and quality control team obviously will have more in-depth analysis of because they will get into data analysis also. So ideally the quality, the teams will be collecting some data through check sheet, checklist. Statistical sampling, again, this is the job done by quality control team, which is data analysis part. You can collect data through questionnaires and surveys. When you look at the data, you can look at the performance reviews based on what was expected, what is against the target, how we're doing. Again, some bit of data-driven stuff. Root cause analysis, again, statistical testing is required for this one. So all the statistical tools will be required, like the Six Sigma job role comes in picture. And these are the things we're talking about, 7 quality control tools. 7, these are only 5, I guess 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 written here. 6 is this one. 7th is missing in the list, which is flow chart. Flow chart is the 7th. So if you talk about there are 7 quality control tools, this list was developed by a person called Ishikawa. Ishikawa developed this list called 7 QC tools, or 7 quality control tools. So these are 5 here, 6 is here, 7th is this one. So technically, I will be skipping this slide because I'll rather show you how it's done from a Six Sigma perspective. We'll not go into detail, but just going to scan through this, and I'll just show you how it's done. All this stuff we are looking at. I have data, I can show it to you here. So all this stuff we'll just quickly talk through. These slides I'm skipping right now, going to that part where we'll resume at this slide now. After so let's kind of go and check out the quality control part we're talking about. The 7 quality tools. Let me just open up some of this additional files. Let's check out this one. The 7 tools we have. So So first tool, it's histogram. So in those presentation, you can see what's there. So all in all, histogram. This is the first tool we talk about. Histogram is used when your data is quantitative. First need is data must be quantitative in nature. That's what number data, production data, sales data, time data, cost data, do whatever you want. So this is, we are talking about some sort of time-based data. So this is like a lot of numbers. I can't make sense out of this number. I can't memorize this number. And even if I memorize, what's the fun? What meaning does it give? Nothing. So when I use a histogram, it will help me analyze this data better. So I'm going to make a histogram out of it right now. Conceptually, from our PMP perspective, we all just going to be focusing from that because we will not get into Six Sigma level. But all in all, the purpose of histogram, we have to be clear about why we make a histogram. The data was numeric, quantitative, a lot of data. I can't make sense out of this. So when I make a histogram, this is histogram. When I make a histogram, I am able to see tentatively where is the average of the data, which is somewhere here. And so the average of the data is 18.643. It helps me to find where is the center of the data. It also tells me how low you can go, how high you can go, given this process, the variations which are expected in the process. So purpose of histogram is to find the center, which is the average, and the variation of the process, which is what we will be able to study. Any quantitative data, otherwise this numeric data is meaningless for me. So I'm able to now summarize this data by using a histogram. We'll be able to figure this out with a normal, like some sort of normal distribution. Again, that will not be get into that. More from the purpose wise, we should be clear. Whenever it's a quantitative data, to summarize and analyze the data, I will require a histogram. Then talk about check sheet. Check sheet is something which is where we collect data in kind of template document. Is there a standard format of check sheet? Answer is no. You can collect data in any format, any template, any document. Like attendance sheet is a check sheet. This is a check sheet. Your housekeeping guys maintain a check sheet. Audit sheet is a check sheet. Any sheet documentation, wherever you in a format or a template when you collect data, that's a check sheet. That's a second. That's for you to collect and store data. Flowcharts are meant for analyzing the flow of the process, how the process is flowing, like start to end, and we will be able to figure out from a lean perspective which department, where my work gets stuck. We start from here, go to here, from there the process goes here, where we finding most of the defects happening, most of the delays happening in the process, where process gets stuck. So in order to visualize the process, to see the waste in the process, I will be using a flow chart to see the end-to-end process of this one. I will put that. Yes, absolutely, Mr. Paul. I'll share that. Coming to Pareto chart, the third tool. It is meant, the purpose of Pareto chart should be clear. It is used to prioritize by count, like something, prioritize something based on count. Let's see what is it. The purpose should be clear. Purpose is this. That's it. It is used to prioritize something based on count. Now, these are some complaints we have received in last 3 months. This is customer service data, and in our customer service, we have been receiving a lot of complaints from the customers. So in last 3 months, we have received 52 complaints from the customers because there was delay in attending calls, 27 complaints for language barrier, 15 complaints for some technical issues, and so on and so forth. So if I want to start a project, I want to focus on somewhere, I can use a Pareto chart. Pareto chart can be used to prioritize the more frequent complaints here. So, I can see from numbers also, but graph is like, it's always a picture is worth 1,000 words. So we always use graphs, it works best. So Pareto chart, type of complaint, the count of complaint, I don't want to combine, and let's see what it tells. This is the Pareto chart we are looking at. Now, if I look at Pareto chart, what it tells us, the most frequent problem that we had in our data was that delay in attending calls. We had like 52 complaints of delay attending calls. That's the first one. 27 complaints for the second one, third one. So it's a decreasing. Look at this, it's in a decreasing order. And same, the numbers are in decreasing order. That's one. Then second one, we would look at this percentage. This is contributing 46% of my total complaints are because of delay in attending calls. 23.9% complaints are because of this language barrier. 13.3% of the total complaints are because of this. So these are individual impact of every complaint. Then it talks about cumulative percentage. It says 46% plus 23.9. If I focus on the top two, I will be able to solve 69.9% problem. I'll be having more focused approach. I can solve this top two, and that will solve my roughly 70% of my problem will be solved if I just focus on top two. If I focus on top three, I will be able to solve 83.2% problem. If I focus on top four, I'll solve 92%. So this is adding up as we move forward to 100%. So it is a way to prioritize. What logic of it is that if you try to focus on this one, you will solve only 1.8% problem. You solve this one, you only solve 8.8% problem. Your efforts required to solve this problem, or any problem, your efforts will be almost same or similar, but the benefits will be very different. Here you're solving only 1.8% problem by putting same effort. Why won't you not put that effort here and solve 46% problem? So Pareto chart is all about prioritization. See where the maximum damage is coming from and try to prioritize rather running into 10 different directions, solving 10 problems at once. Try to focus on few. So your focus is there, your teams, your work, your resources are not distributed, and you can have a dedicated effort on the most important ones here, the most frequent problems, and you will be able to solve a bigger chunk. So it's more about prioritization. It's not saying that others are not important, but right now, relatively, there are some other problems which needs more attention. So I'll rather focus on the top. It's also called 80-20 rule. Pareto chart is also called as 80-20 because this was developed by this gentleman called Wilfredo Pareto. Actually, Wilfredo Pareto was an Italian economist. He was given the task by the king in 1897. He came up with this Pareto chart, 80-20 rule, 80 Pareto chart. He got it patented, 80-20 rule or Pareto chart, because the king wanted to understand how the wealth in the kingdom of Italy is distributed. So in the Italian kingdom, he did a massive survey and we came back with this result that 80% of the wealth in the kingdom of Italy was controlled by super rich 20% people. And remaining 20% wealth was distributed among 80% people. Huge inequality of wealth distribution. So Pareto got this patented in his name called Pareto chart and also got this patent of 80-20 in his name. He did nothing after that. It was Ishikawa who included this in the part of his quality tools, and then it became popular. For industry purposes, it was Ishikawa who used it. Otherwise, Pareto did nothing there. Ishikawa himself created this tool. Out of 7, he created one, which is called fishbone diagram. It's also called cause and effect diagram. Let's kind of look at this. So as for Ishikawa, he said that if you're facing any business problem, the root cause of that business problem will come from 6M. Either the problem could be man-related, people-related issues. You may be facing a problem because of people. So you can talk about all people-related issues. Or the problem could be machine-related. Or the problem could be material-related. Or could be method, which is process-related. Measurement-related, which is calculation or estimation-related. And then, or it could be mother nature, which is environmental factors. So here, this example is given for something called low productivity. So we're struggling with low productivity issue. And the team has brainstormed and come up with list of probable root causes. We feel that this could be the possible root cause because of which we're having low productivity. Now, it's not verified. Discussion, just brainstorming. It's not verified. We will make a fishbone diagram, which is meant for finding if the purpose of fishbone diagram is to collect a list of probable, possible root causes, not real, possible root causes. We don't know whether they are root cause or not, but some experts believe they are root causes. So we use this for the purpose of finding a list of probable root causes. Verification will happen after statistical testing. So right now it's just a discussion. That's it. Low productivity is what we had the discussion about. That was a business problem, and we do our fishbone diagram. That's how my fishbone diagram looks like. If I want to change something, I can change whatever I want. I actually made up a lot of flexibility in kind of changing whatever. It is done, and that's it. There you go. This is the problem about which we discussed. These are probable root causes which my team had discussed. That's a fishbone diagram. So the reason of fishbone diagram is to collect a list of probable root causes, which some of them may be the real root cause, which we don't know, which we will be able to verify when we do the statistical testing. Then comes your scatter plot. Now, scatter plot is used for data the way you look, whatever data you're looking here. Say, for example, we would like to find out if there is a statistical relation between the temperature and the sales of, say, air conditioning. So Well, is there a relation? Well, what we can do is we can take an average, like a temperature for the month, and we count the average sales for that particular month. So like month on month, we have got some sort of data like that. I would like to find out if there is a relation or not. I would like to find out whether hours of study, right? Hours of study, does that have an impact on exam scores? I can do this scatter plot. So the hours of study are between, say, 1 hour to, say, 20 hours. So I'm randomly putting some numbers here. I want to find if there is a relation between the how much score somebody gets and the number of hours he or she would study. I would be able to do a scatter plot. For this, scatter plot is meant for finding a statistical relationship between two numeric data sets, and I will be able to check this out. I can do a scatter plot, which will help me figure out if there is a statistical. So I can do a scatter plot. I just randomly created one. And Y is the output variable, which is exam scores. Hours of study is the input variable. I can plot this and see if there is a statistical relationship. Do you see there is any statistical relationship here? And just one in one description. Anyone? Kind of no, yes. I would like to say kind of no. It's all scattered. It's all scattered. It's not. Well, have a look at this one. If you, the temperature and the sales of the air condition. You see a relationship now. Yeah. Yes. That does tell me a relationship here. When my temperature is less, my sales is less. As the temperature increases, sales increases. At a higher temperature, higher sales, higher temperature, higher sales. There's an upward trend. I see there is a trend which is going upward, and there is a statistical relationship. So I can draw a lot of relationships like that. These all come in very handy. Actually, we can predict also, but again, that will be out of scope for us to get in there. But again, scatter plot purpose should be clear to find a statistical relation between two numeric variables. Last one in the 7.2 rule is control chart. Now, control chart is meant to study the process, if the process data, the business data that you're working on, is that under statistical control or not. So when I process this control chart, and making one of the charts here, it will help me figure out if the process is in statistical control. When I look at this control chart, let's pick up this one. So it helps me to understand this X bar means the average of the data. And these are the data points. First day output, second day output, third day output, and this is like daily output we see here. And I see this is the average line. Average line is 12.57 is my average of the data, daily data. And this, when you see control charts are prepared, and when you see this is called UCL, is upper control limit. Upper control limit is the maximum limit, which is expected that my process will go up to this limit. My process will go lowest up to this limit. This is lower control limit. These are calculated and not given by the customer. Upper control limit and lower control limit are statistically calculated. What is the maximum possible this process can achieve, or the lowest possible this process can go. And whenever there is a violation, you will see these red dots. These are called special cause variations. If you see the red dots, it means that there is a change in the process. But it does not mean it's a defect. The red dot does not mean it's a defect. It depends what are you auditing here. So because if it's sales process, I would say it's a good sign. Why? I was expecting maximum sales to go till here. We've exceeded it. Great job. It's not a defect. When I say this data is about cost, then it's a bad sign. I was expecting my cost to go maximum to this. You exceeded the cost. It's a bad sign. So whenever you see this special cause variations, there is a root cause analysis required. When you do root cause analysis to understand why something has happened, why this is an exceptional value, well, we will have to take action. So control charts will help you figure out whether my process is in statistical control or not. Let's say if I look at this process, let me just make it. Now, this process is in statistical control. This looks absolutely fine. There are no red dots. This is in control. So when I say this is stable process, statistically controlled process, whereas previous one was not a statistically controlled process because they were special cause variations also. So there was something to be investigated. So purpose-wise, we should know all these purpose of the tool. So what is the purpose? Upper lower control limits are not defined, they're calculated. Their control limits are calculated. There's a formula for, there are a lot of control charts. Every control chart has its own formula, how this gets calculated. Based on data, they will based on the formula of that control chart, you will have this calculated. So no, these limits have nothing to do with the customer. They are always calculated by the data, whatever we are. All in all, we will be looking. So whatever 7 quality tools, these are generally practiced by the people in the quality control team, and they will use these various tools and data collection practices to understand if my process is working under control or not, or there is some sort of corrections and adjustments required. And accordingly, they will be working on that like a thing, very much to solve it. Having said that, in case of Agile, we have this entire process of quality already inbuilt in the process. So whenever we deal with a job, it's involved by default is a part of the process we're dealing with in Agile. There is nothing called a quality control process, quality department, assurance department. No, it's all together in the process. So we don't have to get into that separate process because the audit is happening at the end of every sprint. You sit down with the product owner, discuss about the definition of done. When the job is done, you have an output created, which is instantly been audited, and you get a feedback. So it's all as a part of this process. So it's linked with the process here. Having said that, the symbol, again, whatever the symbol given here, it's a wrong one because we talk about when you say this symbol, it is meant for Agile. The discussion which has been given here is related to the predictive one. So the symbol needs correction. In case of predictive, first one is the part of predictive. The second section is about Agile. In case of predictive, we will be working on the acceptance criteria, which are the quality metrics. And there will be some bit of plus minus, which would have been agreed with the customer. Because, like, for example, we have to build a wall, and the thickness of the wall should be like 4 inches. You can't have exactly 4-inch wall. So you would have agreed with the customer while you're having acceptance criteria decided. The target thickness of the wall should be 4 inches. Plus minus, say, 0.2 inch is also acceptable. So plus minus can be there. So my team will be constantly ensuring and auditing whether the work has been done as per the customer target or not, and if the work delivered is within the acceptable tolerance or not. If it's outside the acceptable tolerance, then there will be a rejection, which will result in change request. So we will, the same thing. Verified deliverables are presented to and accepted by the customer, resulting in accepted. We already know that part. So internal team will make it verified deliverable, quality control, and then this will be the customer will make it verified accepted deliverable. And this is done throughout the project for the entire process. Every deliverable has to pass. In case of Agile, practically we don't have anything as such. Why? Because we have, by default, it's done during the project. We don't have anything which is as a quality standard or something which have to be met within range. You have an acceptance criteria, like definition done. All you have to do is get the job done during, like, look at this. It's review in the Scrum. It is all part of the process itself. You don't have a separate quality control or quality assurance. It is all done as a part of the process. We don't have to have a plan such as, so you sit down, you plan, you then do the job, your product owner will verify it's done. If it's accepted, done, the deliverable is over. Pretty much whatever you have to use a story, you have to do. It's out from your backlog. The backlog work is over. The customer says it's acceptable, it's done. It's over. You don't have like sort of the tedious process like a predictable. And throughout the project, well, there is the only risk we have, like in case of predictive, we have a very, very like a robust approach to manage the risk. We have a risk management plan and God knows what not. We do a lot of things to ensure the risk is not, we don't come across that. You prepare risk management plan, we prepare issue log. Well, in case of Agile, we don't have anything of that sort. Why? Because what is the risk? Risk is that customer can keep on adding new. Every time you sit down for a demo, customer says, okay, this is fine. I have 10 more user stories. Next time, again, I have 20 more user stories. The customer can keep giving more and more work. That's a big risk. So I don't mind taking that new work if you're being paid for that. So if you're giving me 20 more user stories, 10 more user stories, I'm up. My problem is that if you don't give me money and you want to add more user story, that's my risk. So I don't want, so that's why my process of Agile is already factored in that risk part of it by default. So that was one risk that I continue doing the job without getting paid. If I'm getting paid, then that's a good thing because I'm getting new business from the customer, which is good. I would love to do this. Let this guy do it for lifetime. Keep paying me and my team will be occupied and the business is going on. But well, for this, I'll say how much extra time will be required. Give me that extra sprint. I'll tell you for this 20, I will need 2 more extra sprints. Okay, give me for 2 more money for 2 more extra sprints. We'll add this to backlog. Well, if you're saying no, well, then practically you have to remove the user stories from the backlog, which is worth this 20 user stories. Remove the items, we will replace it. So my risk is safeguarded by the way it's working, the process of working. And second part is that we don't work for that long. We have a short duration cycle. We do the job. The risk is less. So whatever feedback, what max I could do is 2 weeks damage. I would do that. And I will be able to correct myself. So it's not like I will wait for so long. It can be instantly corrected. And we will be able to understand, sit down with the product owner. You gave us this definition of done. My team did this job, and you saying now it's not acceptable. Help us understand. So correction is very fast in Agile. So my risk is by default covered. It's not like it'll be like we have to wait for 6 months to get to know. No, we'll sit down and say, well, you gave us DOD. We did the job as per that. Our understanding is we followed DOD. You say no. Let us understand why. So we'll have that easy correction. It's a way the process works, the iterative and incremental approach. It will cover it up. So we don't have a separate hassle of doing this in a different way. Having said that, while you're dealing with this, you will be constantly required to review the results, which is budget. So you must be coming across certain risk factors, and you would be utilizing the contingency reserve budget, which you have kind of kept reserved for yourself. So keep looking at it. How much have you spent? How much is left? Because you have to keep in mind, if you're not left with adequate, then you have to raise a change request, and with a justification why you have spent more money and more. You got to tell, like, based on our anticipation, we thought that this would be enough. Probably the actual, when its risk happened, we ended up spending more because this was a bigger one that we expect. So I will have to have my justification. So I have to constantly keep an eye. Do I have sufficient contingency reserve to manage it? And yes, if needed, there is an unexpected risk which has happened. For that, I will not pick up contingency reserve. I will be asking for management reserve, because the contingency reserve is for identified risk. All the identified risks, we have contingency reserve. So an unidentified risk happens, I will go and raise a change request for management to release the management reserve, because I will not pick up, because I have funds available, but that's meant for the identified ones, not for the unidentified. So I'll have to do this throughout. And yes, look at this. May be communicated with a burn down chart. We already discussed cost can be used through a burn down chart. This is the total contingency reserve, and how this is the plan. And like, we'll see how we are going as per the we can do a burn down chart to communicate how fast you're depleting the funds. That can be used the reserve to kind of observe whether it's working as per the plan, or we are ahead of that. Accordingly, I can raise a change request to replenish the rate. But again, you have to have justification, the reasonable justification. So risk register, in case of predictive, we know we by default have the risk register. We have all that job to be done. But in case of Agile, we don't have. We'll see. We do plan. We plan in predictive. We do all that planning, and all that stuff is done. But in Agile, it's on the go. We have a discussion. There are multiple ways you deal with it. You have the daily meetings. You will be having the daily stand-ups during the reviews, during the retrospective. So we have a discussion, and all this can be displayed through information radiator. So we have this option, but we don't sit down and prepare. You can, using the information radiator, you can prepare a risk list. A risk list which is a very narrow list. You don't prepare an exhaustive one, but it's on the go, on the move. We don't sit down and plan. We are doing the job. What we come across, we as impediments, we can kind of display through the information radiator, and so these are the outstanding ones which are going on. So everyone knows through information radiator, these are the current ones which we are dealing with. But we don't sit down and plan a risk thing. It's already as a part of the process. So again, because it's on the go, I can't plan for something which the things are going to change. So I'm doing the job, I face the problem, I do solve them, and I am having a discussion almost every day, and then at like those intervals also, which other ceremonies. So it is there. But again, we prefer to use, if we want to use, we will use a very small, like a risk list, which is that what we discussed today, and this is displayed. That still this is still unaddressed. And there, the risk part, the Scrum Master will come into picture, because Scrum Master's one core job is to remove the impediments for the team, because Scrum Master is there only for the team. So if something is going to bother the team, the Scrum Master will pitch in and try to solve those problems. So that the Scrum Master will also be responsible here to involve and solve the problem. Pick one, impediments. This all term issues is with the predictive, impediment is with the Agile. I will look at it. These terms are like all synonymous, different PMBOK, older PMBOKs called it something. Now they have kind of mentioned it clearly. Impediments, blockers, all are synonyms, and obstacles, all synonyms. So they're all the same, which is stopping. the work team to do the job. So the term we talk about as predictive, in predictive one, we call it issue. And negative thing which has happened is issue. Impediment is used as in agile. So predictive term uses issue log, adaptive thing is using impediment log. This impediment is related to agile, and predictive, same thing is called issue. They are both negative in nature. We know this part, risk is a positive or negative risk can be risk. And we create a risk response, we have a risk register. But if something negative has happened, then you call it as an issue. And there is a risk because now it's no longer a risk, it has happened. So we have to solve it. We have to have a response, it's called as workaround, because now you have to fix it. We have to find a workaround to solve the problem because it has happened. It will always be negative. Guidelines, resolution, you will have an issue log. Have a quick look at it. There's an issue log template. Is it formal? No. You customize yours, but this is pretty much covers every important element which we generally see in an issue log, like some sort of ID created for issue log. What is the issue? When it was identified? When it's expected to get completed? What's the priority level? Who is handling it? What is the response basically? What is the current status? And if there are any comments, well, you want to add something else, please add something else. It's a sample of your issue. You can just customize as feedback. And Scrum, as we discussed, we always handle it as a part of the process. So, and the Scrum Master will also be helping it here because the team will discuss it during daily meetings when we have those meetings, during the reprioritization sessions, during the retrospective. The team will have the process, but again, please keep this in mind. It's a core job of a Scrum Master is to find the solutions. So because Scrum Master is for the team, and if anything bothers the team, it will be. So even the training, coaching, everything is what will hamper. If you have a skill set gap, the team will suffer. So the Scrum Master will be looking into training, coaching, and even the resolving the conflicts. If there is anything which is becoming a problem, a hindrance to the team, will also automatically become a part of the role of a Scrum Master. That's where the Scrum Master will get into it and will try to solve the impediments. If the Scrum Master has this authority in his or her own capacity, will do it, or else this person will involve the relevant parties or other stakeholders who can would probably bring in some other elements to solve that problem. But all in all, will take this as an accountability to solve it. So the job of a Scrum Master is to resolve it. Quick one, remove impediments. So pretty much the same thing. We track the impediments. We do that during the product backlog meetings, during the release stand-up meetings, and we expect people to be following as a servant leader to solve the problem. Same stuff. During the project, well, there will be a lot of changes happening. Yes, and changes are referred to technically the change request with effect. Have a look at this. Why would it happen? Inaccurate estimate, your problem. You did not do proper estimation. New regulation, not my problem. Because something government regulation has happened. What can I do? Missed requirements. Well, that's my problem because I did not ask and probably take the requirements of the customer clearly. Specification is not my problem because this is customer will ask for scope changes and I can do that. So technically the inaccurate estimate, my miss, it's my miss, and missed requirements also my risk, unless because we did not capture the requirement clearly from the customer. But again, if it's a government regulation, it is definitely not my problem. Specification is not my problem because practically there's a change. Customer will be bearing that. But first two will be my problem and I will have to be answerable for that. And again, now when I raise the change request, well, it will be counted as my fail in that. What will we do here in this case of monitoring? We remember that we talked about the prompt list, the pestle, takeoff, VUCA, whatever. So we continue to explore those potential factors which can impact, and this could be risk factors. We think it could be positive, negative. So we use this prompt list to find out and explore the external factors which may have an impact on my business, on whatever work we're doing. I hope you recall this discussion. Pestle, takeoff, VUCA, we discussed about in the lesson 1. There was the prompt list. I shared a list of links of also in the file. I hope you recall this one. Pestle, takeoff, VUCA. There were different ways of discussion or categorization of risk. Political, economical, social, technology. It's having a discussion, structured discussion, rather than random discussion. We'll have a structured discussion. In case of predictive, we have a change control board. Well, in case of predictive, we have a change control board who does the perform integrated change control process. The team will be working on the change control, and they will, when it's approved, all the artifacts will be updated. What artifacts? The plans. all the subsidiary plans will be updated, the project management plan will be updated. So as and when the moment something is approved, well, you will be updating the relevant plans and accordingly the project management plan. That's a predictive part. And agile, well, we know the process. The product owner is the one who can take a decision, add more user stories. Well, no problem. Well, we'll ask the product owner to do the backlog refinement. We have the demos during which the requirements will be understood. And please keep this in mind, no changes are allowed during the sprint. So while the sprint is going on, no changes are allowed. Well, after that, whenever you have a demo session, well, customer is free to make those changes, add new user stories, so which are allowed. Which is nature of the agile, we allow the person to make those changes. The product owner can add new requirements during the demo period, but nothing during the sprint. If you plan something, we'll run that sprint. We will run that sprint without any change. There are 4 types of change requests we can come across. A corrective action. So basically, we have not like something which we like based on a performance. We have not been able to do the job properly, and I see because I have to go and raise. So for example, as the cost-wise we are behind, or schedule we are behind. So we have to procure the funds for which I'll have to raise a change request. I need so much funds. So I will require to, like, because we are behind the target. As I look at SPI, and as per SPI, my SPI shows as 0.8. So I know I'm behind in my schedule. So I will be able to raise a change request so that I can procure the contingency reserve to get more people on the project so that I can take care of that, and like performance can be corrected. So my plan is to get more people and increase the SPI to say 1.1, something like that. So I will raise the change request that I need extra resource. So I will be applying a fast tracking or crashing, something like that, for which I need more people. I will have more extra budget. I'll utilize my reserves here. So that could be corrective action what I'm doing here. Now, this one is anticipated. This one is anticipated. I can raise an anticipated change request. Preventive. Well, I am able to see that the way I'm trending right now, whatever I may do, I know for sure I will exceed this limits. So I know that I'll run for short of funds. I will probably exceed the timeline. I can see, even if I put more people, it still does not going to solve the problem. So when I see that something is going to happen, I'll not wait for the last day. I can do anticipated one. So I can raise a change request saying that this is the current situation, and I have analyzed, I've done my assessment. Whatever I may do like this problem, it's not going to be corrected. It will get violated. So yes, that's an anticipated change request. Now, talking about defect and repair, well, bottom line, whenever the quality control team says not qualified, becomes a change request. Customer says not qualified, becomes a change request. That will be change request. Or by default, if there's a change in baseline, customer made a baseline change, scope baseline change request, cost based change baseline change request, schedule baseline, any baseline get impacted, you will have change request. So 4 types of change requests you will see in the projects. Diana, you please go ahead. You can.
Yeah, hi. Can you hear me?
Yeah, loud and clear.
Okay, before we go far, sir, let's go back to the agile impediment you said, right? For agile, we're tackling the impediment, and for predictive is the risk. So for the agile impediment, how we do this? Do we eliminate, or do we basically resolve the obstacle? For predictive, I know the risk, we tackle the problem.
Right.
But for the agile, the impediment, do we eliminate that?
Yeah, we'll resolve it. So there's an impediment which needs to be solved. And so there has to be, say, for example, we're working on a particular like a user story, and it's not working out, it's not moving. So practically, yes, I'll be resolving it. So we'll get together to say, probably I'm trying to design integrate a payment gateway. It's not working out. I'm getting some error. So the concerned team members will get together. We'll try to go and solve the problem. So it has to be solved. Every impediment. Otherwise, the user story will not get completed.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, here we go. So we know the role of a change control board. So whenever the change request will be raised, it will be the change control board, which will be responsible for mitigating the change, looking into the change. If the change is approved, it will go and update the relevant plans and then the project management plan. If the change is rejected, pretty much it will be rejected after that. you will be documenting everything in a change log. A change log will have like a list of all the approved or even the rejected ones. Every change request has been change log will be containing all the change requests, whether it's approved or denied, will be documented there. So which will be more of like a logbook for all the change requests. Yes, Mr. Mohammed, please go ahead.
Yes, I have a question regarding for the reserve amount in the previous slide.
Go back.
Okay, so if we're having, no, not this one. Yes, previous one, no. If we're gonna use the reserve amount of money, shall we ask our company, our office, or we need to address to the client?
So depends. Like, see, whenever you talk about the, like, what are we? How are you treating yourself? Are you working as a vendor, or are you working as a consultant, or are you working within a company? Like, so, like, who is asking this question? That I need to understand.
Like, we're having the project now.
Okay.
Okay. So we are, like, example, the office will do the project for a client.
Right.
Okay. So we agreed on with the client, like, this is gonna cost you around 100,000. Okay.
Okay.
And we start doing the work, and the reserve amount of money, like, as you said, maybe $20,000 aside.
Yeah.
Now I want to use this as a project manager. I have a delay. I want to start using that reserve amount. So
Okay.
the change request gonna go from me for my management, or from me to the client?
To the management, the change control board only. They'll go to your change control board, whoever is controlling the process here. So within your company, because your customer will be like, so you will not have a direct contact with the customer. The company's change control board or the sort of the business development team will be the one contacting with the customer. Your interaction will not be the customer. Your interaction will be the change control. Our job is to deal as project manager. Will be dealing with only the change control board. So approval, denial, and whatever the budget which is available, we have to get an approval from them. And it's quite possible the customer might have a stake in this change control. It's quite possible.
Okay.
It will be my leadership team. It's my company's leadership team will be there. Yeah.
So my leadership will decide will I will get the amount or not.
Yes, and they might ask you, like, say, what you got is enough, and whatever failure the reason you're quoting why you need extra budget, you should have already factored in. It's your miss. You should have done it. You're saying that this risk has happened and you need extra budget. Ideally, you should have identified. You should have kept contingency reserve for it. And you probably have not done proper estimation. So it will be more of a, we have to either be able to convince them, else they might reject and say, well, what you got, you work with that. Again, that's a decision of the change control board, and how effective are we in terms of convincing them that it needs the budget to be released. Bottom line, there is less money, and yes, I am anticipating that we will be running out of the funds and at this rate. So if we're able to give them a logical reason, yeah, they will understand it. Like, bottom line, if it's justifiable, but if it's our miss, then again, well, they might want to still run the project, but again, they will be negative on the part of the project. We've seen that it was your miss because of which we got into this trouble. But that's more about the change control board will be the one. But the customer doesn't come into
it. Okay.
Is it okay? PM needs to justify. Yeah, PM needs to justify. Well, like, basically, a change request is literally frowned upon. It's not something which is good. Lesser the better. We hate change requests. Is it okay, Mr. Mohammed? I guess that was your question. Quick check on this one. Mr. Mohammed, I guess that was your question, right? While the project is going on, we will be working with some contract changes. And yes, if there are changes happened which are done in the contract, we will have to kind of work with the vendor. See, that could result in some sort of dispute, legal disputes also. So for that, we will not be the one who are appropriate party or the right party to be able to get into this, because for that, I will be looping in the concerned department, the procurement department, financial department, the legal team, because it's out of my authority if there is a change in somebody's contract has happened, and because which a dispute has has been created, I can't solve the dispute. I'm not the one who decides the contract. I'm not the one changing the contract. So, well, if the dispute happens, the concerned department has to be looked in, or probably because there will be legal issues which can be created as a result of dispute. And that means pretty much you have to, it's not my job. You're not the one who are expert in that area. So whenever something happens, ideally, we're expected to know what are the things which can result in this contract change. What are the contract changes we're talking about, which can result in such as disputes. So there are different types of contract changes. These are the things we should know. And again, we're not the ones doing any of these. So we should know, because it's a job of the procurement team or the concerned department, like whoever is dealing with it, they will handle it. So we should know what are the types of changes and what they mean, pretty much. Administrative changes, no big deal, honestly. What is administrative changes? So there is a vendor, say hypothetically there is a vendor. This vendor was assigned somebody from the company, so Mr. A as the point of contact. So Mr. A, this vendor was informed that you have a problem, anything that you need, please inform Mr. A. He is going to be your reporting boss. So pretty much whatever you need, he's going to be asking questions, he will be providing all the things. So point of contact for you is Mr. A. Now, because I need Mr. A for something else, I change this reporting relation to Mr. B. That's it. That's administrative changes. No changes done in the core contract. Job is not changed. The core contract, nothing has changed in the scope. Only reporting relationships have changed. That was going to be administrative change. So no big deal. Person A I was talking to, now I'll be reporting to. Reporting changes have happened. That's it. No other changes are happening. No big deal. Contract modification is a big change. This is where I'm saying, well, I wanted a 3-story building. And while you're doing the first story work is going on, I tell you, well, I have changed my plans. I would be doing only 2 stories. This is what. So just do one more and we'll be done. I don't need this. That's going to be a big change. Because my contract, my scope, everything has been assigned as per me. So that will be a big substantial change in the entire. So you have to sort of rewrite the entire contract, and that could lead to a legal dispute. Because the customer this guy might say, you have to compensate, have planned everything, God knows what not. But bottom line, it's a massive change in the contract. That's a core change in the scope, which is done, and then you have a result in a problem. And technically, you're reducing the scope of work so that somebody would have a problem. Somebody will be negatively impacted. So that will be a contract modification change. But other one will be easy if you have to increase something. That should not be a problem. I was supposed to do this house, which is, say, 3. I'm still asking for that. But there's a scope change, which is what I'm asking now. Give me one more extra garage here, because that was not initially discussed. I wanted this 3-story and all, but now I need a garage also. Can you do that? Yes. So what's the fun of changing the entire contract? Let this original contract be there as it is. This remain as it is. Let's not do it. Let's discuss and understand parallelly for this garage that you want, and prepare an addendum kind of thing and a supplemental agreement and attach it to the original contract. So let's not revise the contract. Let the contract be there as it is. There's no change in the house that I have to build, but it's extra garage, right? So let's discuss it separate and have an addendum added there. That's the supplemental part. It's the extra additional element without changing the original contract. Constructive changes are very, very, honestly funny and very interesting one. Why? Because in this one, the customer will be penalized. Why? Because these are changes done as a result of action or inaction of the customer, not by us. It's action taken by the customer, which has resulted in the change, or inaction taken by the customer has resulted in a change here. So what can be an example of that? I had to start my work and I have got all the procurement done, all the vendors and everything. But before we resume the work, it was the customer scope of work to get the government clearances. And this guy probably got busy, could not get things on time, and we don't have government clearance, we can't start the work. The work which is supposed to start on first, because of the customer's inaction, started on time. Why should I pay? So because of this inaction, whatever delay, because people would have come, because I would have agreed with them. So this guy has to pay. The customer will bear these consequences. I will not bear for that. This is as a result of inaction. What is action? Customer would have probably said that, okay, you do the work, but the excavation part, my friend, like I have got a close friend, he's got a company who does the excavation job. So you can start the work on 10th. You can start the work on 10th. So first and 10th, this guy will do the excavation. This is out of scope for you. I have got another party which is involved. So the other party will do the job of excavation. You will get the excavator, you can start the construction on 10th. I said, okay. So my job starts when the excavation is done on 10th. So what if this guy, because this is not my problem, this is now customer scope, not my scope. Now, this vendor or friend, whatever, he could not get the job done on the 10th. And because of the customer's action which has taken, technically the work could not get completed on 10th. And now this gets finished on 12th. Now I will not pay the penalty for that. Why should I? Because I'm supposed to start. So it's a customer's action has resulted in it. Here the customer failed to take an action. Here the customer has taken an action. So bottom line, any blunder done by the customer will be borne by the customer. Why should I do that job? Well, why should I be penalized? So which will be done. Here the variation order, Mr. Khan, the variation order that we're talking about, probably the language change, that's referred as supplemental level. Yes, you can have a nomenclature change any which ways, that's fine. Termination of contract is always there. Early cancellation option is always there in every contract. Agile or predictive, whosoever wants to leave the change, leave the project, can leave it, but there will be clauses and penalty as per the contract which is written. In the contract, it will be mentioned what will be the procedure if you want to leave what will be the penalty, and would there be any kind of advance notification time which will be required or not. That will be part of the termination contract. So it can be executed because every contract will have early termination. What if the customer wants to terminate? What if the vendor wants to terminate? There will be early cancellation option. But again, they will be with penalty. So whoever would like to cancel has to pay penalty, and there will be some advance notification which has to be. These are some types of contract changes. Quick check on this one if it's okay and clear. Legal concepts. What if these contract changes have resulted in a legal problem? High level, we should know what it means. Warranty, we all know. Warranty is what we sort of inform. Let's say I buy a mobile phone. This mobile phone gives a clear-cut 1 year warranty, not guarantee, but 1 year warranty for manufacturing defects and all that. So things which are covered. So they explain this all will be covered, and what will not be covered. You put this in water, accidental damage and all that. So that's not going to be covered. That's not covered under warranty. But these are the things which we will cover. So we promise you that we will, for 1 year, we will cover you for these things. And if there's anything which happens, we'll ready to cover. So warranty, if you do not, or if you have committed something in writing pretty much, and you're not complying with that, that's a breach. And that will lead to legal issue. So we don't cover up for the warranty that you declared, you will be getting into trouble. And that leads to breach of contract. Breach of contract, there's something which is, there are a lot of terms in the contract, which means you committed, you agreed for this. And if you one of those agreement could be warranty also. There'll be a lot of agreements done in the contract for a lot of things. If you don't fulfill one of those commitments, there'll be breach of contract. That will lead to lawsuit, some sort of litigation thing, law related stuff. Now, waiver comes into picture generally whenever you want to, and generally in a construction kind of field, you see waiver kind of coming into picture. What is a waiver kind of thing? Well, based on act of God, something happens. Well, they will, say there's a township or you booked an apartment. The planned timeline is 36 months. You will have your apartment given to you. You can take the handover of the apartment, and they give you plus minus 6 months as a tolerance sort of thing. So I know I can't take this guy to the court. Well, obviously, I will not be taking the guy to go if this guy delivers in 30 months, which is minus 6 months. But this guy can deliver even till 42 months, and I can't take this guy to the court. As per the agreement, this is what is clearly mentioned. But by the act of God, something like, say, God forbid, like earthquake, like flood, or war, or something like COVID happens, there is a waiver clause in the contract which says that for such things, you cannot hold me liable. Now, this will not apply then. So bottom line, you can't take me to the court of law for not adhering to this agreement. So bottom line, I will not be in a condition to do it. It's more of an act of God. So well, you waive me. So when you sign a contract, you give the waiver that I will not take you to the court of law for not fulfilling the obligation because it's an act of God. So you will sort of give the builder sort of waiver in that case. Cease and desist is used generally in case of a credit card or loan, very common. Card, loan, and all that. So if somebody has taken a loan, has used credit card, not paying the credit card bills, well, the bank will make phone calls. You still don't pay. Now they will turn it to some recovery agency. Now this recovery agency is going to start making phone calls, send you emails, contact your friends, families, work, your place of work. And see, if I'm sick and tired, all I can do is simply drop a letter, an email, a letter, something, any form, no lawyer required. I can simply drop a letter and the heading should be cease and desist. That's it. After that, the company, the bank, is forbidden to even contact you by SMS, by email, by phone, to your friends, family, anywhere. Any form of contact, even attempt to make a contact. The company, the bank will be in a legal trouble. The bank might end up paying you more money than what they're asking you to pay, honestly. But now the moment you send this letter, the bank has now full rights to take you to the court. So now because you're saying, no, you can't contact me, and then you owe money to the bank. So it's more, this is used in such a scenario that you are prohibited, your bank, you're prohibited to recover this money, prohibited to contact me by any forms, or me or any person whom I know regarding this particular outstanding amount. And yes, if you want, you can take me to the court. In the court, we'll finalize. That's what it means. In the court, we'll finalize. Now, from here on, all communication will happen in court. That's what it means. Now, it's up to the bank now to see, is that amount that we are asking for, is it worth taking this person to the court? If the bank feels, no, that's enough, there's more amount, and you can't just write off that amount, they will, without any doubt, take you to the court because they can't contact you otherwise. So otherwise, if the amount is less, then there is so obviously they will forgive it, not forget, but they'll write off it. But what it does, that person will not be able to get anything on credit from any bank ever. Why? Because this credit reports will be completely, it will be messed up. So with that being said, that no one in the market will be able to give that person. So but all in all, that's cease and desist letter. So cease and desist is more about a communication which we do that you will not be able to get any any sort of what do you call this? In case of some event happens and you will not be able to get any loan, you don't want banks to contact you. So yes, it's okay for you to tell the banks not to contact you anymore. That's the kind of cease and desist is generally used in this debt collection industry. Now, quick check on these 4 elements if it's okay and clear. Quick check. Right. So if there is a change which is happening in the scope, then accordingly, then everything will get changed. If your scope changes, if there's an activity which the scope has changed, then everything will get changed associated with it. The timelines, work packages, assignments of the people, you will be making those changes throughout the project. Again, if that changes, your project management plan will get changed in bottom line. So by default, if any scope changes, relevant, all related scope, the plans, schedule, cost, time, everything will get updated. So your project management plan will get updated. In Agile, you don't have to worry for it because it is whatever you pull, you do the job. What is in the backlog, it's none of my business. Well, I will pull the items and I'll do the job. So when the demo is done and you have new items added, well, you will add extra sprints or you'll remove the lesser ones. So that's the job, how you do it. It's none of my business because what I pull is what I work. And that's what I'm concerned about. So no worries. What's there in the backlog? I have to finish all of it. So you keep replacing. I don't care what you replace and what you add. Because when I pull that item, that's when I'll be concerned about it. Till the time it's in the backlog. I don't care what you keep replacing. Okay. And quick one here. Last element which we have to talk about, and we will be done for this one. This is one element which is there in the 6th one, which is about closing project. Simple logic of closing is there are 3 elements to be looked into this closing. A, you close this project. So everything which is opened must be closed. Everything you have opened. So you should be closing it. You will prepare lessons learned document and you will have to look into the benefits realization plan. So because the project some elements which will be even received after the project is completed. So that will be covered up benefits management plan, which is after the project completion, some additional benefits may still be going on. So these are a few elements will be looking at. So project closure, everything which was fulfilled must be closed. Look at this. Every deliverable as per the project management plan, whatever you have, all the deliverables must be completed during that by the acceptance criteria. And you should use the requirement traceability, everything that was explained as per the required traceability metrics, everything should have been completed and approved. All requirements should have been done. In case of predictive, in case of Agile, everything in the backlog should have been completed, mutually agreed as well. DOD. Final acceptance, that is done. Basically, in case of predictive, you call it acceptance criteria. In case of agile, you call it definition done. Everything which was there should have been closed. Be it a project management plan related deliverable there or your backlog, everything should have been finished. There should be nothing in your scope or for that matter, nothing in your backlog. So everything should have been closed as per agreement with the customer. So some projects will get, like ideally the project should get completed on time whenever it's due, but some projects can be closed even before premature closure. While if the requirement change, what if the management, like if the whatever project you're talking about, there is no longer requirement, what if the management has changed, the management who hired you to do the project, there's a change of management, the new management says it's waste of time. They don't want this to be done. So if the organization has changed and the management has changed, they might not need this project to be done. Or probably there's some legal problem has come into picture, regulatory problem, and your project is no longer possible to be done. What if the outcome you're creating is no longer desired? It's an outdated stuff. World has become an AI kind of thing, and your product is outdated. Nobody wants it. There's no point in creating it because it will be waste. The generation has changed. So, well, then, or probably you have come across a big impediment. What? One, most important one, money. You don't have money left to run the project. Or probably the risk has become so high, there's no point in running the project because the chance of failing is, say, 99%, and the chance of passing is 1%. No point in doing it. When the risk has become too high to be doing it, it's better to close the project in that case. So some projects will be closed even before they complete the regular process. Ideally, we expect the project to be completing as per the regular process, but there will be certain scenarios where the project will get closed even before, and these could be some of those reasons why the project will get closed even before it has completed the due. So A, the management has changed. B, the regulatory compliances have come into picture. The output is no longer desired by the market, and probably the money is no longer available, or for that matter, risk factor. You will have projects to be closed earlier. So if in case the project has to be closed, what do you prepare? What do you prepare? Basically, you will look into all the items which are accepted. Basically, all the deliverables you're looking at, everything has been closed. All the items have been transitioned to the customer. You notify, you basically update your OPL, all the OPS, because you have to submit your own. So you update all the OPS because you will have to go and create and submit it to the final, basically to the project management office. You prepare your final report, and this final report will be your organizational report. The template, the sample will be given by project management office. Every company has its own format, which is a summary report, which tells you how the entire project has gone through. A summary report, which will vary from company to company. Complete everything, whatever was opened, like I said, everything which is opened must be closed. Closure of all accounts in the financial system. So everything which is open, contracts, everything should be closed because project is getting closed. Archive all the project information and release everyone. Bottom line, nobody should be, because you have to pay everyone. Bottom line, close everyone, close, release everyone. There's no one supposed to be still pending in the system. Accounting system has to be closed. You have to plan for transition. So you're doing a project management plan. Even the transition is a part of your project, because scope, well, you deliver a job, you made some item, and this item needs to be handed over. If you don't hand it over, then this is not done. It's a part of the scope which involves the transition. And what would transition look into? The readiness of the customer. You may have done it, but is the customer ready? Well, do you need some training to be done for the customer? The employees, you need to prepare some training module, or probably create a frequently asked sheet or troubleshooting guide. Well, that has to be understood. Well, the technological readiness of the customer. Do they have the required technology platform to incorporate whatever we are giving? So we have to keep that in mind. And from a predictive perspective, agile, we don't have to worry. Why? Because it is done at the end of every iteration. You're doing the job, you're doing the work, given to the customer. Happy. Seconds, done. Third, done. So you're doing it frequent interval, it's doing it. And when the release comes in, yes, then you release the final product here. Like whatever the product we have developed, it's ready to be released, we release it. But it's done at every interval. You don't do it like that. It's a frequent interval. Agile one, pretty much, because it has a portion of predictive and like a portion of predictive, which is why you will have a plan and you will end up delivering in the end. So this part was a predictive, this part was predictive, this part was agile, it was agile, this was predictive, this was agile, and this was predictive. So I will have completed agile part through agile way, technically, and predictive because end to end, I will have to create the job. Some part in between was done the agile way. In the end, I will release it. So all the agile part would have been incrementally released, but we would be waiting for this regular process to complete. So agile in the end, because the combined one, we will have to release in the end. But again, some part would be ready already. because of agile practices. So again, you will adjust it the way you want. Basically, it's your agile is more about customization of how you use predictive and agile together. So there's no certain guideline for that. Readiness is all about looking at the customer. Well, is the customer ready? You may have created something, but is the customer ready to accept the change? The end users, basically the customer employees, the business itself, your project team, which is supposed to be involved, who's doing the job, and the support staff involved in the transition. Well, are we ready? And that's what we have to keep in mind while we are looking at transition. You may have created something, but now it's time to transition and give it to the customer. So you might have to look at the resistance at the customer. You might want to do the training at the customer and to make sure people are ready to adopt it. You may have created a software. Is the customer ready to accept software? Is there a problem in acceptance of it? Because if I create something, if people don't use, it's a waste. So I may have to look at the early adoption. So I may have to do some sort of training plan, listen to the problem of the people, understand the challenges, make sure they're taken care of, and prepare some troubleshooting guides. So that's what we're looking at now. Here is the list of all those activities we do. From a realization, from training perspective, we'll conduct training, prepare some documentation, do a very effective communication between project team and the organization. Well, in some companies, we'll ask you for hypercare. Hypercare is after implementation. So the customer says you've designed and developed the software, good job. You've trained our people on the software, pretty much we are aware. But we are not so comfortable. So I want you at least say 2 people of your team to work on my site at my office and support us for another, say, 6 months. So by the time my people will be able to understand it better, and for next 6 months, I'll pay. So project is over, but I need help as a maintenance services for another 6 months. So I have 2 people, I will be able to make money, and that's benefit realization. Why? Because it's after the project is delivered. This add on additional benefits even after the project is completed. That's benefit realization, which is one more reason why we select a project, because the project is during what is giving is business case tells you what's the economic justification. A benefit realization plans talks about short-term benefits and even the long-term benefits, which are even after the project is delivered. So that's where and this could be on different forms. You may get in terms of hours of work, or you may get number of, probably in certain cases, percentage commission. You may need, probably it could be intangible also, brand value. So say it depends on, we'll have to look into how would you measure the benefits. Well, how long will this benefit come? Because those things have to be also considered. All in all, whenever the project is going to be complete, pay all every vendor. Do not delaying payment is not ethical. So if somebody has done the job and you satisfactory job, well, pay the vendor as per the contract terms. If it says immediate payment, do immediate payment. If the contract says 6 months, then delay for 6 months. But do as it's agreed upon. Do not delay the payment unless it's in the contract. Benefit realization will happen because some projects will have those additional benefits which will be given even after the project. So that depends on the kind of project. If software projects will have a different kind of benefit. Predictive projects will have a different kind of benefit. Like if I do a predictive project, like housing project, I may get a project benefit which is probably just for doing the interior designing work. I can get it after the project is done. So that's additional add-on benefit. In case of software development, I can get a maintenance kind of work after the software is delivered. Some people may be required for hypercare. That's extra work. I may have designed and developed the software for, say, 50% of the price. And because the customer had less money, so we had an agreement that, well, you pay half of the money, and when you start selling this software, for every software sale, I'll take 5% for next 2 years. So I know there's a benefit realization plan that I will get 5% of every sale, which will happen for next 5 years. So all that depends on the kind of project you have worked on and what kind of agreements you have discussed with the customer. Well, that will be part of your benefits realization plan. This was one more reason why you selected this project. So one more important reason in major input in authorizing project, because we know that this is extra benefit we'll be getting. And some benefit could be tangible, intangible. So tangible benefits which can quantify, number driven. Intangible could be the customer brand value, customer satisfaction. Those kind of things would be intangible values, which we're talking about. Well, again, that can be measured through some sort of survey which can be done. But again, this will be more about how much money, how many resources, all those things can be quantified. So we look for a long-term, short-term benefit. We also try to understand how that will be quantified, whether you will be getting in case of dollars, or number of hours, or number of people, or would you be getting some sort of percentage of commission, how that will be measured, who will be benefiting from this benefits management, because project will be over. Who is supposed to get this benefit? How long will this benefit be done? How this will be tracked, whether you're getting the benefit after the project. Well, what kind of reports will be done? What kind of risk factors will be there which can stop this benefit? So all that has to be discovered as per the part of benefits. So bottom line, you're going to get some money, ideally some money and some benefit after the project. So you have to keep in mind how that will be tracked, because the project is going to go over. So you have to set up the process here. Who will track it? Who will be benefiting? Who will be getting it? Like how long you'll be getting it? How it will be quantified? What kind of report? What will be the frequency? What may result in the termination of benefits? All those things will be discussed. Look at this benefits one. So who will be benefiting? This is more about like a predictive, technically the business and like not business, but a sponsor will be getting the benefit. And there could be some additional add-on beneficiaries there. Here it's only the product owner who benefits if there is a additional add-on benefits we're getting. So they will reap the benefits for the organization. Anyone who is a beneficiary who will benefit from the benefits management, technically who's the owner of the project. So verify, well, that was, we were talking about exactly, let's come here. Choose the metrics, how it will be reported, basically how it will be reported, like what kind of reports will be published for that, like what kind of intangible benefits which can be there, how will it, like what, and in moreover, when they're subjective, we can generally use a survey kind of thing to quantify, like a customer survey, satisfaction survey for us was 7 out of 10. Now it's like 9 out of 10, which has improved. So that kind of thing. For reporting, how would you show that the benefits are still being met? Any risk to that benefit? If in case there is a negative impact on the benefit, and probably when it will be ending. All in all, there can be a lot of things which can be used or included in planning about the benefits which will be there. So all in all, I need to make sure that benefits which will be getting, who gets it, how long, how it will be reported, who will track it, and if there is something which can go wrong, which can terminate the benefit earlier, or can be anything which can be discussed. So there's additional work which will be happening after the project is done. And last piece we'll be doing this, but knowledge transfer. But like every document that you prepare a lessons learned document, because in case of agile, you do the retrospectives, and in case of in predictive, you do a final lessons learned document. Pretty much, you do project retrospective at the end of at sprint. You do sprint retrospective. At the end of project, you do a project retrospective in agile. In case of predictive, you do lessons learned document. You do meetings with them. You archive the information. You finalize your lessons learned register. And you add it to the main repository, which is that project management office. You add it to the master database. And this information, when we do during the closing, you do the transition knowledge from the project team to the customer also, which is we talk about the knowledge transfer, knowledge like a frequently asked sheet, troubleshooting guides, training the staff. That is also done. And then while you're doing this, preparing the closing documents. So you'll be preparing some sort of document, which is basically the project closure report. So you will be required to let's quickly have a look at it. Conduct retrospective. In case of agile, when the work is done, pretty much when the work is completed for this process, capture the key successes and challenges, how people, like qualitative feeling of the team, how they felt about this project, quantitative if they have some velocity related figures or for the work performance data, like for that matter, you had this burn down chart, like any kind of quantitative data that you might have looked at, and like look at the challenges we faced here, how we've solved the problem. That will help us for the next slide when you start the project. Congratulations, motivate the team members. Good job done. This is from agile perspective. In case of predictive, in agile we have a final retrospective done, but in case of predictive, we have like a final meeting. We just clap for everyone. Congratulations done for all the people, because these people will be gone. So yes, I want to appreciate people for the good work they have done. And finally, we end the project by saying goodbye to everyone, basically because everyone's effort made it possible. So finally, you have your lessons learned document created for everything that you've learned. You're not just documenting right now. You're sort of summarizing, because you have always been documenting lessons learned. So about whatever things you were important for you, from the related to scope, schedule impacts, risk related things, stakeholder relationships, vendor relationships, artifacts, like anything that you were working on throughout the project. You have been documenting you're not just documenting now. You have been documenting trends every day. Every day you are documenting this lessons learned. Now you're sort of consolidating it. That's it. You're not doing a fresh document right now. You're consolidating it. And this is how your lessons learned will look like. Practically, you will be looking at some elements related to scheduling, conflict, how you manage seller related. So it is more about, again, lessons learned. You will see there will be some sort of template that you will get from your organization. And every organization, we have seen numerous versions of this. So again, which kind of template you have given by your project management office, you will be filling that form basically based on your learning. So you'll just go and fill up the form and then merge it with the lessons learned report. This is the master database, which is with the project management office. They will keep the document, but by what man, your job is done. You prepare a final report, and there is a final report template which is there given by the project management office, which has all the forms, the description. You have to fill in how was the project done, scope related activities, quality related activities you did. So basic summary of everything that you did over the project, how the risks were encountered, what kind of benefits were there, what kind of schedule objectives, everything which will be a report. This document it will be given by them and will vary from company to company. So all in all, you have to fill in the final report and just hand it over to the project. Your job will be over. This is typically the last. So quick check on this one. If it's anything which needs more clarity on this section here, we can talk about it. Else we will discuss about the exam part of it, like the things which we have to cover up from exam perspective. Well, just a quick discussion. Any question on this element of lessons learned? Talk about a quick one. I'm just going to go back to this page. Best of luck, everyone. Yes, absolutely. So, well, here is pretty much what we just generally try to keep it that simple, so which works for everyone. We're not trying to count on the things which somebody gets lucky. See, since you have gone through this entire thing, pretty much you've spent all this while, you have an idea about what is it all about. I would highly recommend to not go through the entire recording. Please don't, because it's not advised, like no one makes to go through entire recording once. But you have recorded slides. I hope everyone has those recorded slides. These are the ones which you have. So just scan through those recorded slides, because you have 6 seconds or 7 seconds delay in every slide. Just scan through the slides. On each slide, just try to see, do you understand the content there? Because you don't have to memorize it. Just look at the slide and see whatever content is there. So just, you might have to play the recording, just see, okay, just pause the slide and see whatever content is there. Do you understand the content? Or you have some clarity required about the content. So if you need it, just connect with me on that one. So, but again, what I say is just go and talk, like scan through the document, whatever is there on the slide, and see if you understand that or not. That's what is required. So scan through all the slides that you have, the recorded ones. Yes, Diana, please go ahead. Diana, please go ahead. You have a question.
Yeah. Hi. Okay. For the final report, sir, the last topic that you discussed,
Right.
final report, we sit down with the vendor and we both agree this is the final report and we both basically
No,
sign. Is
not
that how
one-
it goes for the final report? The
No.
closure? You
No,
sit
not
down
really.
and get the signatures? No?
Not with the vendor. Like it's what you're doing. You're submitting it, because the vendors would have been released already. See the vendors' job, whenever the work was done, we would have looked at the vendor's work, we would have checked with the acceptance criteria. Work which have been completed, I would have said, okay, when it's done, I would have already released the vendor. This is why I'm submitting report to my manager. The final report, not with the vendor. It's my report to the manager that is project is done.
Okay. To the manager or to the product owner?
Yeah, absolutely. To the company, like whether the vendor's job, I would have already handled throughout the project. So if the vendor would have done the job, I would have checked it as per acceptance criteria. If the vendor would have done a satisfactory job, I would have said, okay, now this guy's job is okay. I would have informed the procurement team that this vendor's job is finished. The customer has accepted all the deliverables. We can release this back. So pretty much, I would have done this job already. So this work is my project summary, not this vendor.
Okay. And sir, about this PMP training right now that we have this extension. Is this, first of all, are we going to get a certificate about the hours that we accumulated here?
That's what I'm going to be discussing here. So that's what we are discussing now.
Thank you.
So, okay, first thing first, we have this recorded slides. Once you complete them, just scan through all the slides at least. Have a look at these slides, because I won't recommend watching this entire 35 hours of video once again. But again, watch your slides and just see that if you need any clarity on the slide, that's one. From exam preparation perspective. After that, it's more about storybook reading, which is, I would say, PMBOK 7, PMBOK Agile, the practice guide, practice process guide and the Agile practice guide. Read it as storybook. Again, please keep this in mind. There's nothing to memorize here. It's more about understanding. You already know the content. It's more about now scanning through those documents and having an understanding of the document. That's it. Once you've done it from a learning perspective, all that job is done. Whatever you need to know in terms of acquiring knowledge is done. A, you've gone through the entire training. B, you have scanned the slides once again. C, you have gone ahead and scanned all documents once. Now, after this, it's more about practice. A PMP examination is 25% of learning, 75% of practicing exam questions. This is race against time that we're dealing with. So all we have to do is practice. So I've already shared Rita Mulkey version 11. Please read this. This is more concepts are there in the Rita Mulkey 11 and less questions are there. But since it's the updated version and aligned with the framework, like the exam content outline, I would recommend reading this first. These are very less questions, but the concepts are very well written there. Understand that. And then the primary question bank, which is this version 10. It has got plenty of questions. And I'm sure if you have checked that, there are plenty of questions in the Rita Mulkey. Do at least 3 times at least, because the book, if you read it, it tells you have to read this. Rita Mulkey, solve the questions 3 times. Book will itself tell you that there are 3 times you have to scan the book to complete the examination. And that's when you know you're ready for it. And then finally, the exam prep questions, which are clone questions given by PMI. So I just want to open up this document. I hope you all recall that these are the files I'm talking about. These are already put down in the downloadable folder. So if you recall that there's a question set, which is there in Excel file. This question set is the exam preparation question you have with the book. Let me just open up the Google Drive. Rather, it will be easier to communicate and talk about it. So all this material that we're talking about, it's right here. So if you've downloaded the training material from the exam prep material, you have all these links with you, all the files that we're talking about. Just complete all of it from this, let's say. Every file that we talked about. So A, you have Rita Mulkey 10, Rita Mulkey 11, you got process with practice guide, you got Pinbox 7, you got Agile practice guide, and these are the exam questions. These are PMI clone questions. And this is what I'm referring to. This is the last thing you should be doing. And please, when you start doing the question from here on, please use time base. Use timer to attempt questions. The simple rule is try to set like 1 minute per question. That's all you can spend. 1 minute per question. So if you're trying to, like, I'm not expecting you to go and do a 5 hours per day or 4 hours per day. No, if you can do 1 hour per day, but 1 hour per day has to be 1 hour per day. You cannot have any day gap. It's more about practicing, getting the mindset. So if you are doing if you're setting and doing the question for say half an hour, keep 30 questions and try to solve 30 questions within that half an hour. 1 minute per question is what you can afford to do, and try to speed up, and because it's more about race with the time, because a lot of people in the end up telling that we were not able to fulfill, like completely do all the questions. So it's very important that you practice more. I said like 75% will is all about practicing the question. It's not that you don't know the content. You will know the content, but it's more about getting into the mindset and solving the question, being able to solve a similar questions before will always give you a upper edge. So the question answer starts from here. And this is where 3 times at least this one, and then 3 times at least this one, which is clone question from the PMI, which is the Excel sheet we have here. So this is a clone question, and the Rita Mulkey 10 is a perfect question bank. This has less questions in it. So I would rather want to, if I would be you and I was preparing for my PMP exam, I would simply go ahead and do this. So I'm talking about referring to the previous, like last batch. There are like few people who have just passed, and they've just not passed. They've done excellent. So well, got their reports and everything that shared. I was glad, they've been all following the same. Bottom line, we're just trying to follow the process which works for everyone. So I would highly recommend to you to kind of follow this process from exam preparation perspective. Now comes in the question about the 35 hours of the training certificate. So now after this, if you want to go and first of all fill up the app, go and give the exam of IMC. In the portal itself, you have a PMP exam. If you go into your IMC portal, you will be seeing the exam. So there will be a simulation exam. Rather, let me open up IMC portal. So you can give the exam now if you want to. You can give it also. But again, I would say first, at least prepare some and then go and give the exam. When you give the exam, you will be able to get 35 hours of training certificate, which you will require. So I'm just kind of talking about this. Login. So whenever you're ready to give the exam for IMC first. So if I go to PMP here, right now, right at the bottom, so there are some mock tests